Budget 2026, the growth agenda.
Going to be presenting the union budget in just a few minutes from now. So today at NDTV Profit, we have gathered here with a bunch of young citizens, what they prefer to call themselves the Gen Z. Today in this newsroom, we will be discussing with them what they are expecting from the budget. We will be having a fun banter, we'll be having a lively chat with them of what they think of the union budget, how much understanding of the budget they have. Together, we will decode the union budget in very simple terms. So I am Gurpreet Rana, and with me I have my co-host Nazim, who's also the editor for our YouTube team.
Hello Gurpreet, thank you for the introduction, and let me just try and bring some context here. When we were planning our budget coverage, what we thought was, what are the various ways in which we can make this budget speech very interesting, right? Now we all know that India is a young country, and our budget is very is the most important sort of event for the country and from a financial standpoint. So we said, how do we bring in a lens that makes the budget speech very interesting, very engaging, right? So what we decided is, let us create a panel where we will have youngsters who will come in, watch the budget speech with us, right? And for everybody who is watching this video, between the six of us here, we have 4 youngsters who've joined us. Between the 6 of us, we will make this very interactive, very engaging, and very fun, right? So how the idea is that through our viewing experience, everybody who is watching here, and we will obviously interact with on our YouTube chat, we will be making the budget experience, the budget watching experience, extremely new, right? So what I'll do is I'll quickly introduce our panelists or our guests here, right? So we'll start with Archana. Archana is someone who doesn't track the finance field very closely. She hasn't watched a lot of budget speeches, right? But what the advantage of that is, she will be asking the kind of questions that a lot of our viewers out there will be having, right? So Archana, can you give us a very quick intro of who you are and what you've done?
Hello, myself Archana. I am 20 years old.
Okay.
Right now studying in MIT University. So currently I'm doing journalism, but my question to it is, like, basically youngsters want employment opportunities after education. This is my main question, and I would like to speak on it.
Wonderful.
Great, looking forward to it, Archana. And I think that is what the idea of this discussion is as well, that we want the general public to understand the budget in more layman terms as well, so that it doesn't become difficult with the lot of difficult words, the heavy words as well. So welcome to the chat, Archana.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then there is Nishit, right? We have let's go turn by turn, right? Okay. Can you just quickly introduce yourself?
I'm Prativ.
Prativ, yeah, Prativ, you're joining us. You stay in Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
You stay in Mumbai, and what do you do by way of what have you done by way of education? Can you give us a quick introduction?
So I'm Prativ. I'm 19 years old, and I am currently pursuing engineering and automation and robotics from Vivekanand Education Society of Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And I'm like into investing as for a long-term capital gains and for like a better future, for stable future. And I'm into sports as well.
So sports. So we have a very good guest here. You are an engineer, right? And has an interest in robotics, right? And sports, right? So we would like to see what the budget has to offer on each of those fronts, right? Because technology and AI and all of those things are the buzzwords, right? So we would really like to see what the budget has to offer there, right?
Yeah.
Including for for sporting events. There was a very interesting allocation that took place last year for sports in terms of development. So we'll watch the budget speech and we'll obviously discuss. Let's come to you.
So my name is Nishit Doshi. I am a SEBI registered research analyst. So I have been tracking the budgets and the markets for a very long time from now on. So basically the initiative by NDTV Profit is great for today to have a proper live discussion on the market and then on the budget, and also to have outcomes and to view the outcomes from the budget thing.
Yeah, we'll be watching it together.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So Nishit is a finance person, right? And we also have Neil, who is a CA, right? Neil, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure coming here. I am Neil. I am 23 years old. I am a chartered accountant. I also work as a research analyst, and similar to him, I am also a SEBI registered research analyst. And I have been tracking budgets from the last 7 years. So basically from the time Nirmala ma'am started giving us speeches, I have been seeing her deliver these speeches.
Okay.
And lot of expectations from the budget. Looking forward, the one thing I'm looking forward is tax certainty that she can bring in.
Okay.
There have been lot of flip-flops from the government on the taxation front. So if they can bring in some certainty, it would be very better for us.
Okay, so you talked about expectations. Before starting, first I want to understand, see, a lot of people have a lot of expectations. There are certain dynamic of people who don't expect anything at all, ki kuch nahi hoga. What are we expecting from this year's budget? I want to understand this from each one of you from a perspective of young generation. What is the youth expecting?
So definitely I am very bullish for this budget, and I am thinking that there will be some tax reductions and some incentives as well for all the major industries, and looking forward for the budget today.
Okay, so you are looking forward for some tax incentives?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you?
I'm looking for more investment in the nuclear sector, because nuclear is the key future for electricity in India.
Okay.
And a bit into semiconductor chips, because these are the things that are going for the future of India as well.
Okay. What about you, Archana?
I'm looking forward into educational and employment opportunities and also scholarship related problems too, because nowadays we get scholarships, but it is of so much of huge amount that like at point sometimes we have to think like ये मैं करूँ या इसके depths भरते रह जाऊँगी. So it's like we have to stop our studying like in between and think about our future depths. That's why we like misuse. That's a very low degradable for us. Like what we have to do, we are sometimes very confused at this point. So I feel like if you want to change, then you should change in this sector.
Okay, I think all of you have pretty much quite a lot of expectations from the budget. Do you think Gen Z or can the government do this कि जो budget making process होता है उसमें common citizens or let's say youth can also be a part of the budget making process? Do you think it should happen? Because usually a lot of policy makers do this, right?
Yeah.
So do you think any young common citizen should also represent, in the budget making process?
Definitely.
I want to just come in on that. I want to first, and I would be particularly interested in knowing the perspective of you both, right? Because आप लोग दोनों तो finance track करते हैं ज़्यादा, right? You're also an investor, right? But how should the government? Let's ask a more basic question. How should the finance minister make the budget more appealing to youngsters, right? For example, this is a Sunday, right? And you all have an interest in the budget and in finance, and therefore you express an interest to join this panel. But I'm sure there are a lot of youngsters out there जिनके लिए वो सुबह अभी उठेंगे and then they will probably just maybe watch it on YouTube, right? Or they will just get an update on a last शाम में social media, Instagram पे they'll watch some clips, right? So very honest question, how much is the youth interested in something like the budget? Do they understand it? And what can be done to make the budget, because it's a very important policy event, right? So what's your assessment? What can be done to make it more relatable?
Basically, youth जो है एट द एंड मीडिया क्लिप्स देखती है, इंस्टाग्राम पे वायरल रील्स देखती है,
Yeah.
ये फेमस हुआ, उनसे उनको पता चलता है कि ठीक है यहाँ पे ये कम हुआ, वहाँ पे ये कम हुआ, बट वो बेसिकली अपना ज़्यादा देखेंगे, वो बाकी लोगों को सोचते नहीं हैं. एट दिस पॉइंट वो ये सोचेंगे कि हमारे लिए उन्होंने क्या किया, क्या हमें एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिल रही है, क्या हमारे लोन्स कम हो रहे हैं, क्या आजकल आप देखेंगे स्किल बेस्ड वर्क ज़्यादा है, ना कि डिग्री बेस्ड. तो फिर आफ्टर studying, it's like most of the students are sitting at their home, they're not getting that employment. So basically उनको वो चाहिए कि वो हमें provide करे employments according to their skills.
Sure. So, see, what you're saying is what should be the outcome of the budget, right? What are the decisions that the government needs to take in the budget and outside the budget also, right? And as a result of which, there will be certain benefits that will, accrue to youngsters and to the society in general, right? What I'm saying is a slightly different question. Youngsters को कितना interest है budget में? You will have friends, right? Do you think a lot of youngsters are waking up in the morning and watching the budget speech? Do you think maybe do you want to take a stab at that question?
So in technology, I haven't seen my friends do that much interest in this. They usually are more focused in the tech driven and they don't focus on the budget as well.
Okay.
So I have to force them, like, just watch, it's for your betterment of the future, just watch, even for 15 minutes, just watch it, it will help you in the future itself. It's your future, you have to see it, then you can comment on that. Okay, the government is doing this for us, like not just sitting at home and saying what is the government doing. Once you understand, okay, the government is allocating us funds, it's allocating so much funds for semiconductor chips, that is how we can understand, okay, we can create jobs based on our skills and all.
Got it. So what you're saying is the youngsters also need to take an interest, right?
Yeah.
In order for them to actually, because उनका expectations बढ़ रहेगा, right? So they should also take the onus, right?
Yeah, and plus the speech is a bit of finance based speech, like it's a very high level language. For us engineers, it's not that easy to understand it. So even if the FM can speak in a layman's term, I mean, it's not that possible in the parliament, you have to be proper and all, but people don't usually understand the high terms like a bullish market, this capex and all. These are very big terms for us.
Exactly.
In layman's term, it would be easier, and people usually go on social media to search this. So if the government takes a bit of initiative to go on the social media and spread information,
Great. So that's a very good point. So while the government hopefully will take that initiative, we have taken this initiative here, right? Where what we will do is, as soon as the FM starts speaking at around 11 o'clock, we will obviously cut to the FM speech, right? And whoever is watching us here, they will be able to listen into the FM, right? But what the different thing that we will do is, whenever we feel that there is an interesting or important point, right, we will come in, right, saying that, hey, this is interesting, this is important, and this is what you should, we'll try and break this down in simple terms, right? We will bring our audio in over the FM speech, right? That's the one thing that we will do. And whoever, between the four of you, whoever has any questions or whoever has any inputs to offer, right, you can just come in and you can say, hey, this sounds important, but what does it mean? What is the context, right? Capex, for example, if the FM says that the capex is going to, you use the word capex, right? If it's going to go up by 10%, so what does it mean? What is the implication of it, right? So this is how we will.
I think to simplify it more, let's just do one thing. Let me just ask all of you. All of you have to explain to our viewers in 2 sentences what is budget. Can you guys do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In just 2 sentences, you have to tell our viewers what is budget in layman terms.
So basically, you can call this government क्या कमाता है and government क्या खर्चा करता है. So 2 sentences is incoming and outgoing. If you can track this will be the budget.
Yeah, interesting.
So for the layman, the budget is basically the difference between the income and the expenditure of the government, and the extra borrowing which the government does, that is the fiscal deficit for meeting the budget expenditures, or say the capex expenditures.
Okay, you took 3 lines, but that's fine. Yeah.
For me, it's going to be the future, sustainability for us, and how our lives are going to be.
Okay.
For
What about
me-
you, Archana?
For me, it will be like what the government takes in, and later on what we get
What you get and
in the form of their
Great,
taxes
great,
and
great.
or in returns.
okay.
So, okay, what we'll also do is we'll quickly, open our YouTube stream, right? We have about 57 people who are watching us, right? And we would like for everybody to drop in their questions, right?
Yeah.
So that
So
we can.
whoever is watching live, they can also quickly join in. They can also quickly ask in questions. We are live right now, and we will be answering all of it. And you can also engage with us, with our live. Now, moving forward, do you think the first-time earners, there should be something for them in the budget? What do you think?
Yes, definitely. It should be there.
Okay.
So basically, the government should promote the employment generation, and by doing that, they will be increasing the consumption. The theme that the finance minister has proposed, that India is shifting from saving industry to the consumption-led industry. So for that, definitely an incentive must be given for the first-time earners.
Do you think the situation of first-time earners is pretty decent in India, or it needs to be improvised?
So it is pretty decent. Like there are some opportunities which have been generated in last few years, and definitely there is a scope for improvement.
Like if I talk about the basic pay for first-time earners, it's very basic. I think Neil has laughed on it. He might have some experience to share with us.
Yeah, definitely. The first time earners, or you call the Gen Zs that are coming into the workforce right now, there's a lot of pay gap differences. Those who have acquired good skills have good pays going in their first salaries, and large part of the audience is still below or still getting paid what was getting paid 10 years back. So this is a complaint that the IT industry, folks employed in the IT industry speak a lot of. We are getting paid the same salaries that were there previously, but again you have to look at from the company's point of view, wherein they are telling we do not have skills that are coming in from these people. So there's a gap somewhere which the education is not addressing and the industry is not addressing.
Yeah.
Education does not address skills, industry does not address pay.
Yeah.
So it is you cannot clap using single hand. It is both of these will have to come to a common ground, wherein skill development and pay gap is being reduced. So
That's-
I see
that's-
this-
Absolutely.
That's
I
a
think
very
inflation
interesting-
should also be factored into increase the pay. Is that what you're implying?
Yeah, inflation should be factored in. Plus, when the industry calls in, the consumption isn't picking up. When you don't give in more salaries for people to spend, how will the consumption start picking up? So
Yeah.
it is that way. You incentivize your own employees to spend, they'll spend more. So it is a collective effort. And the young generation, everyone knows, wants to have good experiences, is more towards spending than saving. If you see 2 generations back, it was more of saving and then spending. So the cards have reversed. It is more of spending now and saving later. So if you can capitalize on that thing, bit of pay gap that is being done with the new workforce.
We'll come to that. We'll have, let's take in a few questions that our audiences have, right? So we have Ishwar who's asking us, what is the most important thing that the budget misses for the youth, right? There's one more question which is there any expectation for change in the slab rates or basic exemption
let's take
limit?
it one by one
right?
first. Let's try to answer the first question. What is the most important thing that budget misses for you?
So I'll quickly come in there first. The first thing obviously is I think what we were discussing previously. How can we take the budget and how can we firstly communicate its benefits in a simple way, right? So that people, this is a 2-hour long speech, right? And attention spans apparently are falling, right? Where Instagram reel पे लोगों को 3 सेकंड में अगर hook नहीं मिलेगा तो they'll just move on, right? So I'm not saying that you convert the whole budget into a very snackable thing, right? But what is it that the budget should do in order for the youth to become more interested in it, right? I think we also mentioned that the youth also should take an interest in learning, right? But at the same time, I think what is it that the government can do and we in the news media can do, right? This is, for example, one small initiative where we're discussing about it and we're trying to do it our way, our little small bit in trying to make this whole budget experience very interesting, very easy to understand. But the other thing is also from the standpoint of from a more serious policy perspective, when it comes to the government spending on education, right? Government spending on skilling, right? All of these are questions that we will obviously look at today. We'll watch the speech. We'll have experts who are going to come in, and we'll ask them those questions as well, right? There is one question on expectations for change in the slab rates, right? Now, I have a sort of a take on this. About 10 years ago, the minimum exemption was 2.5 lakh, right? So if you made more than 2.5 lakh rupees a year, you would be needed to pay tax. Today it is at 12 lakhs, right? In the previous budget, if you earn up to 12 lakh rupees, you're exempt from tax, right? Anybody who's above 12 lakhs obviously will then pay tax, but so that limit has gone up very significantly, right? So and the government, the FM talked about the salaried, right? The salaried are the ones who typically unki salary se directly tax deduct hota hai. So they are the ones who really need a lot of benefits, right? Businessmen, a lot of others can plan their taxes because unka income directly cut nahi hoti, right? So that relief has been given to a great extent. What I feel needs to be done is expand the tax base more. That because आप जो salaried class है, उनसे आप कितना और ज़्यादा टैक्स ले सकते हैं, right? Because jobs will increase, salaries will increase at an organic pace, right? Now you can't tax the salaried more in order to shore up your revenues, right? GST is an indirect tax. There are two chief sources of revenue for the government, right? Which is GST on the indirect taxation front and income tax, right? तो आप सैलरी से बहुत ज़्यादा अब ले नहीं सकते, आपको उनको रिलीफ भी देना है, राइट? जीएसटी आप बहुत ज़्यादा करोगे तो अगेन द आइडिया इज दैट सो द अदर थिंग इज how do you expand the tax base? How do you bring more people both into the income tax net, right? For example, a hot button subject is tax on agricultural income, right? So that is something that something can be done there. So I would imagine that a bulk of the efforts, we will watch the speech and look for cues कि हम और ज़्यादा लोगों से India में I think 5% of people pay tax, or I think the number is even lower, right? So how do you make that 5% 50%? Even in developing countries, several other developing countries, that number is significantly higher. China is at I think 30-40%, right? The other countries, developed countries, are 60, 70, 100, 80, 100%, right? So that is something that I would be very keenly watching. But anybody has any take on this?
Yeah, I'll have a take on this. So basically, when we see the tax net or the total taxpayers that we see, there's a lot of skewness you see when you come looking at the per capita GDP of the country, which stands somewhere around $3,000 to $3,500 in between. But the skewness is towards the right and the left. That is, there are very few people who earn above 5,000, 6,000, and then there are people who earn below 2,000 also.
Yes.
So as and when we'll expand the middle class, the tax net will automatically start increasing, because once you start going towards the higher incomes, it will have your basic needs are met. Once those are met, then people would be willing to pay in taxes also. Plus, taxes are seen as a burden but not as a nation building responsibility. If I am into army, if I am into police, I salute, you are doing your job for the country, but paying taxes is also a service to the nation. So that thing needs to come out from the government to the young generation, that you are also doing you are also part of the nation building when you are paying your taxes honestly. So somewhere that pride of I am a taxpayer is not coming out.
That's a very interesting
Somewhere that thing needs to be established, wherein if I am paying tax, I proudly say I am paying tax.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am doing that, and that does not mean the indirect taxes part. Indirect taxes everyone does. Even a person purchasing a biscuit packet also pays the GST.
Correct.
But if I am paying an income tax, I need to have that pride in me. Somewhere that needs to be shown in. Be it symbolical, be it any other way. Possibly also, if I can put it on social media somewhere, I am a taxpayer.
Yes.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. You sort of associating paying income tax to
Nation building.
responsibility.
Yeah,
That is an interesting. What if the government increases the income tax? How would you feel?
Yeah, that will again depend upon
Because that is quite debatable. A lot of people do not even like the idea of income tax in the first place. And you're saying that income tax is a responsibility. So what if, let's say, what if finance minister today increases the income tax?
No, I think what Neil is saying here is not what he's saying is there are two parts to this, as I understand. One is that make everybody feel that paying tax is not a burden. It's a sort of an activity, a responsibility that helps in nation building, right? So take pride in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
ये the
But
policies
I
of
want
it.
to understand from him, what if finance minister increases the income tax? How would you
Income
react
tax
to
as in
it?
from a tax rate perspective.
Yeah, from a tax rate
Okay.
perspective.
So from the tax rate perspective, there is something called as reasonable increase and something called as not reasonable. So if it is reasonable enough, you are factoring in things that the country wants. You are also factoring in things that the taxpayer wants. So if there is a strike of balance between it, then I am very sure many people would come honestly to giving these taxes. Plus, as I said, that pride thing, that needs to be cultivated into your living things. I mean, your daily life. If I'm paying taxes, that should not be seen as a burden. That should be seen as a part of nation building. So there is narrative shift that needs to be done. The narrative from it is a burden to it's a responsibility, that would greatly help. Plus, as you came in, if it is a responsibility you are taking up, how much is the justified increase? That
And
also
how
needs
it
to
is
be asked.
communicated also, right?
Absolutely.
How much we are increasing, why we are increasing.
Take Prativ's take on it. What do you think, Prativ? What's your take on the income tax?
Prativ is not yet in the workforce.
No, I'm
Right.
not yet. But
Okay.
what I think is that people usually say, हम लोग इतना टैक्स भर रहे, गवर्नमेंट कुछ कर रहा नहीं है. But now that when we see the numbers, that only 5% are paying, then how will the government work properly? If 5% are paying, then the country's population is in billions.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. How will the how will the government manage that much? Like when we complain in Mumbai that the roads are not that proper, how many people are paying the tax slab and all that? So before judging the government or anybody, we should first see that are we doing our duty or not. So let's take that duty first. Let's pay the taxes. Then if the government is not working, then we can complain against them.
Okay.
I have a
What?
point.
Yeah, of course. I was about to come to you, Archana. What's your take on it? Please also let us know about your working experience, whether you're interning or you were doing a first-time job, and then let us know what are your expectations.
As they say that tax paying should not be the burden, but I feel the income we earn is also type of burden, because for a family if you earn something there are lots of बहुत सारे खर्चे भी है लोगों के टैक्स पे करने के लिए वो जो खर्चे वो भी पूरे नहीं हो पा रहे. इट्स नॉट लाइक ओनली मिडिल क्लास पीपल, इट्स लाइक लोअर मिडिल क्लास पीपल भी वो अपने खर्चे नहीं चला पा रहे. दैट्स व्हाई दे आर नॉट पेइंग. समटाइम्स सम रीजंस आर लाइक दे आर एक्चुअली नॉट पेइंग फॉर इट. बाकी हाई क्लास पीपल देखा जाए हाई सोसाइटी दे शुड पे. सी इफ यू आर सेइंग इट्स ओनली 5%, then why it's only 5%? Because we doesn't have only 5% of high class community in our whole India. So I should start with the high class people should pay first, because if middle class they are asking or wanting something from middle class, sometimes the money earned is not as much as they require. That's
Okay.
what I feel. And for my question, like now I'm an intern, so here I'm not getting anything. That's what I want. See, I completed my studies. Right now I'm at 6th semester. I am here for my winter intern. But right now, at least you should give 5K or 2K to any interns working in any company.
Absolutely, I agree. I
Because
think
we are using our own money to travel all around. We are eating our own food. At least they should do this.
That's
Yeah.
Because
that's definitely
that's
something
what
that
we are learning for. That's what we are studying for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my
That's what also takes me to last year's budget. Last year, internships were announced for the youth. Do you think internships are beneficial for the youth? And what is your take on the unpaid internships? I want to understand from you as well.
So definitely the last year the announcement for the internship program by the finance minister was a great initiative, and I am looking forward for more updates, more progress in the domain. So the program was that for the top 500 companies,
Yes.
just from the CSR they can provide an internship to the new employees, and they will be getting an incentive in the taxation. So I will be looking forward for this budget also, that there is an increase in those limits, and more initiatives are taken for creating more internships and first jobs for the youth. So
I want to-
indirectly that will increase the taxation for the nation tax revenue. So the focus will be creating the jobs and the employment. Then definitely we will be getting more tax from the youth citizens also.
Okay, I can sense some debating opinions inside our panel.
I want to quickly come in on that. See, when it comes to the government, it's a very interesting dichotomy here. Let's look at the internship program that the government announced in the budget speech last year. They said ki if you hire an intern, we will we will subsidize it to some extent, right? And we will also encourage you कि आप अपने CSR spend से आप उसको वो करिए, right? Now what the government is trying to do here is it's trying to make the give more incentive to the industry to act, right? But at the end of the day the industry will still have to spend money, right? So the equation is that आप जितना incentive create कर रहे हैं, is that incentive enough for the company to act, right? What if they don't have, for example, I'll draw a parallel. There's this PLI scheme that is fairly popular, where the government has said कि आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करें इंडिया में, हम आपको टैक्स में वो देंगे, हम आपको टैक्स का रिबेट मिलेगा आपको, we will depending on the percentage of the revenue that you get, you will get that amount. Effectively you are helping the industry increase its manufacturing, right? But वहाँ पे उनको direct benefit है, right? Because the moment you do that activity आपको benefit आता है, so the incentives are aligned very clearly, right? But when it comes to job creation, अगर आपने कुछ incentive दिया भी, is that incentive enough to nudge me कि okay, I need to hire more youngsters, I need to hire more, I need to take on more interns? That is a question, and that question will also be addressed on both sides, from the company side as well as from the industry side. कि education में, for example, is there a skill gap, right? Because खाली government saying कि आप hire करिए may not be enough for the companies to want to hire, right? ये हम आपको एक्स्ट्रा पैसे भी दे देंगे, that may not be enough, because मुझे फिर ट्रेन करना है, वो भी तो मेरे कॉस्ट हैं, right? So the question is the education system also creating candidates who are industry ready, right? Especially
Wants to add something.
Yeah, I'll add on this thing. You have the industry complaining that the people graduating do not have skills. How do we employ them? So are you taking up initiatives to skill the people? So what I expect from this budget is, since the CSR thing came up, for those who don't know, the CSR expenses are not income tax deductible expense.
Yeah.
So the expense you make, you still cannot deduct it from your income and you pay tax on it. So what I want is some part of CSR, if the company is spending in collaboration with the academia to introduce internships within the course. Now there are again two things. If I am going for a graduation, once I complete my graduation, I at least expect that I can take care of my own expenses, leave aside the family expenses. So if I am a graduate, I have completed 3 years, that is 6 semesters of my study. I expect I don't have to go 6 months again into the industry for unpaid internships.
Fair
So one thing that I would want is inculcate we'll work for free because we are getting skills, but integrate that into our education. Maybe 5 sems we study.
Yeah,
One
that's a
sem
great-
of my college
Yeah.
is dedicated to internship, wherein the company will come in, pick me up.
Okay.
So at least I know when I complete my
I'll have
graduation
that
6
job.
months down the line.
Yeah.
I am industry employable. That time
Yeah.
the company cannot complain that I do not have skill because you have trained me according to your skills. So
Fair
5 months is the curriculum that the education system wants us to. 6 months the industry teaches you what they want.
That's a great
So
take.
if that thing is done, you collaborate with the academia, get in the students that are working with the universities, train them for 6 months, your expenses get CSR reimbursed. So CSR expense done for upskilling with collaboration with academia.
Okay.
You get what happens is you get income tax expense, deductible expense.
Okay.
If that thing is done, so again where there are profits,
That's
the private sector
will
splits.
automatically capital will follow.
Yeah,
That-
so the
that's
capital
a
will
very
follow.
good. That's a very good take. For anybody who is joining us now, let us just do a quick recap of what we're doing here. Right, we have 4 youngsters on the panel. Right, and the 2 of us here from NDTV Profit, and the 6 of us total here are going to watch the budget speech. Right, the FM should start speaking in about 5 minutes. Right, and as and when the speech starts, we will cut live to it. Right, anybody who is on the stream can watch the budget speech here. Right, on the stream, and if you have any questions, please drop into our chat. And what we will also do is, if any of us has a take, has an opinion, has an insight to offer, we will turn down the volume of the FM speech a little bit, and we will come in with those observations. Right, the idea of doing this here is we are going to make this the first budget speech coverage which is real time, which is interactive, and where there are youngsters who are going to watch it and who are going to come in with their opinions. Right, so welcome, a big welcome to everybody who is watching the stream here, and we're also getting a fair number of questions in our chat. Someone.
I think so. Before we take on the questions and before the finance minister starts presenting the speech, I would like to do a quick rapid fire with each one of you. So, are you ready for it?
Yes.
Can we? I will just throw in few questions at you, and you have to answer it real quick. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with Neil. Okay. More jobs or more startups?
More startups.
Who should be prioritized in the budget? Middle class or poor class?
Middle class.
Why?
As again, you want to expand your tax base.
Okay.
The middle class will give you the tax.
Cheaper internet or cheaper electricity?
Cheaper electricity.
Why did you not choose internet?
Basically, as a diverse country, I have favored the middle class now. Let me also favor the entire nation, wherein you also have the lower earning class that will require electricity first. Internet can come in next.
Okay. My question was more schemes or less taxes, but I'll tweak it for you. More schemes or more taxes?
Obviously, more schemes.
Okay.
Anyone likes incoming.
Alright. Now, coming over to you. Cheaper petrol or cheaper food?
So cheaper petrol.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Cheaper flights or better road transports?
Road transports. Better road transports.
Okay. What if flights are cheaper? Won't it be much convenient to just fly?
No, so the most of the nation travels still by the roads, and we need more improvements in that thing.
Okay. Cheaper homes or cheaper rent?
Cheaper homes, definitely.
Can we take both options?
No. That is what the rapid fire is. Farmers first or youth first in the budget?
So farmers first.
Okay, why? You
So-
are the youth, why are you choosing farmers?
So because they are being neglected from many years, and they are contributing our economy to a large extent. So
Okay.
definitely their income needs to be raised in a much higher way.
Okay. Coming over to you, Pratik. More trains or more highways?
More highways.
Okay. You travel more by road or
Mumbai Road.
that is why you have chosen better highway?
Yeah.
Mumbai trains at peak hours are not really great.
You seem very frustrated. Alright. More IT parks or more colleges?
More IT parks, because there are a lot of colleges, but there are not many jobs for youths in engineers.
Okay. Cheaper food or cheaper travel?
I'll go with food. That's a
Well,
necessity.
you can have some if you want. We have something on the table as well. All right. More investments or more subsidies?
I would go for more investments because in future it will help us a lot.
All right. We'll get back to investment portion, but first we'll come to you, Archana. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yes.
Okay. More schemes for youth or more schemes for startups?
More schemes for startups.
Why?
Because these are the most kind of revenue generation for everyone, because you can just have your own business.
Okay.
And
More
on.
job openings or higher salaries? What would you prefer?
More job openings, because there is scarcity of jobs.
Okay. More skill centers or more colleges?
More skill centers. Colleges are there for everyone, but as he said, now offices provide skills and they say you are not skill based, so yeah, skill.
Okay, okay. Education loans or startup loans?
That's a tricky question, but startup loan.
That's what I intended to do. What did you choose?
Startup loan.
Okay, why did you choose startup loans?
Startup loans because, as you say, startups can be done if you're not educated, but if you know knowledge, you are very knowledgeable about that, you can just start it and you can have some money to start it, and then yes. But for
Okay.
educational purpose, you need to learn. That's not everyone wants.
Okay. So I think it's just 2 minutes left
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
and,
less than a minute actually. So we should now cut in to the FM any moment now,
Yeah.
right?
So let's just cut to the finance minister's speech in a while. Till then, we also have a question on gold and silver. I want to know how many of you invest? Who amongst you invest?
I think yeah.
Okay, it's 3 versus 1. Which commodities, equities, where do you invest more?
I invest in ETFs most
Okay.
probably. I'm a youngster, so I'll go for ETFs. I'm not that into market, so I have a basic idea of ETFs. So I go for ETFs.
Okay, so I'm considering you would also have opted for commodity ETFs as well. Have you?
No, not that much.
No, because the silver has recently.
Gold and silver have been in the news,
Crash.
as we all know, right?
Okay. Do
Will-
you also invest, Neil?
Yeah, I do invest in. Probably more towards direct investing into equities.
Okay.
Okay.
And since you brought up the commodity thing, probably it would not be wrong to tell I have missed the bus. And I guess most of them talk of it more. And I see fund managers also coming on your channels. And most
Yes.
of them have missed this rally. So
Okay.
fair to say that many have missed, but
Yeah.
the chatter is loud.
Yeah.
What about you, Nitesh?
So definitely I invest in physical golds and equities both.
You invest
So-
in physical gold.
Yes.
Why physical gold?
So it's a security and it's a more of a investment point.
Each of the following papers, Hindi and English versions, under Article 281 of the Constitution, report for 2026 to 2031, Volume 1, main report of the 16th Finance Commission. 2. Report for 2026-2031, Volume 2, Annexures of the 16th Finance Commission. Number 3, explanatory memorandum as to the action taken on the recommendations contained in the above report.
आइटम नंबर 2 माननीय वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी।
Honorable Speaker, sir, on the sacred occasion of Magh Purnima and the birth anniversary of Guru Ravidas, I present the budget for the year 2026-2027. Since we assumed office 12 years ago, India's economic trajectory has been marked by stability, fiscal discipline, sustained growth, and moderate inflation. This is the result of conscious choices we have made, even in times heightened uncertainty and disruption. Our government, led by Honorable Prime Minister Modi, has decisively and consistently chosen action over ambivalence reform over rhetoric, and people over populism. We have pursued far-reaching structural reforms, fiscal prudence and monetary stability, whilst maintaining a strong thrust on public investment. Keeping Atmanirbharta as a lodestar, we have built domestic manufacturing capacity, energy security, and reduced critical import dependencies. Simultaneously, we have ensured that citizens benefit from every action of the government, undertaking reforms to support employment generation, agricultural productivity, household purchasing power, and universal services to people. These measures have delivered a high growth rate of around 7% and helped us make substantial strides in poverty reduction and improvement in the lives of our people. Today, we face an external environment in which trade and multilateralism are imperiled and access to resources and supply chains are disrupted. New technologies are transforming production systems while sharply increasing demands on water, energy, and critical minerals. India will continue to take confident steps towards Vikasit Bharat, balancing ambition with inclusion. As a growing economy with expanding trade and capital needs, India must also remain deeply integrated with global markets, exporting more and attracting stable long-term investment. As I begin part A, I want to express my gratitude to the people for standing firmly with us as we forge our way together towards becoming one of the largest economies of the world. Our aim is to transform aspiration into achievement and potential into performance as we ensure that the dividends of growth reach every farmer, the scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes, the nomads, the youth, the poor, and the women. In Vikasit Bharat Young Leaders Dialogue 2026, several innovative ideas were shared with our Prime Minister, which have inspired many of the proposals, making this a unique Yuva Shakti-driven budget. Our government's sankalp is to focus on our poor, underprivileged, and the disadvantaged. To deliver on this sankalp, and given that this is the first budget prepared in Kartavya Bhavan, we are inspired by three Kartavya. Our first Kartavya is to accelerate and sustain economic growth by enhancing productivity and competitiveness and building resilience to volatile global dynamics. Our second Kartavya is to fulfill aspirations of our people and build their capacity, making them strong partners in India's path to prosperity. Our third Kartavya, aligned with our vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, is to ensure that every family, community, region, and sector has access to resources, amenities, and opportunities for meaningful participation. This threefold approach requires a supportive ecosystem. The first requirement is to sustain the momentum of structural reforms, continuous, adaptive, and forward-looking. Second, a robust and resilient financial sector is central to mobilizing savings, allocating capital efficiently, and managing risks. Third, cutting-edge technologies, including AI applications, can serve us as force multipliers for better governance. Reform Express. Our government has undertaken comprehensive reforms towards creating employment, boosting productivity, and accelerating growth. After the Prime Minister's announcement on Independence Day in 2025, over 350 reforms have been rolled out. This includes GST simplification, notification of labor codes, and rationalization of mandatory quality control orders. High-level committees have been formed, and in parallel, the central government is working with the state governments on deregulation and reducing compliance requirements. The Reform Express is well on its way and will maintain its momentum to help us fulfill our kartavya. I now move to specific proposals. Under our first kartavya, to accelerate and sustain economic growth, I propose interventions in 6 areas. 1. Scaling up manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. 2. Rejuvenating legacy industrial sectors. 3. Creating champion MSMEs. 4. Delivering a powerful push for infrastructure. 5. Ensuring long-term security and stability. And 6. Developing city economic regions. Scaling up of manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. Biopharma Shakti, meaning biopharma strategy for health advancement through knowledge, technology, and innovation. India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cancer, and autoimmune disorders. Biologic medicines are key to longevity and quality of life at affordable costs. To develop India as a global biopharma manufacturing hub, I propose the Biopharma Shakti with an outlay of 10,000 crores over the next 5 years. This will build the ecosystem for domestic production of biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma-focused network with 3 new national institutes of pharmaceutical education and research, popularly known as NIPERs, and upgrading 7 existing ones. It will also create a network of 1,000 accredited India clinical trials sites. We propose to strengthen the Central Drug Standard Control Organization to meet global standards and approve timeframes through approval timeframes through a dedicated scientific review cadre and specialists. India's semiconductor mission 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor sector capabilities. Building on this, we will launch ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials, design full-stack Indian IP, and fortify supply chains. We will also focus on industry-led research and training centers to develop technology and skilled workforce. The Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme, launched in April 2025 with an outlay of 22,919 crores, already has investment commitments at double the targets. We propose to increase the outlay to 40,000 crores to capitalize on this momentum. A scheme for rare earth permanent magnets was launched in 2025 November. We now propose to support the mineral-rich states of Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu to establish dedicated rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, research, and manufacturing. To enhance domestic chemical production and reduce import dependency, we will launch a scheme to support states in establishing 3 dedicated chemical parks through challenge route on a cluster-based plug-and-play model. Strong capital goods strong capital goods capability is a determinant of productivity and quality across different sectors. Towards building this capacity, I propose the following. High-tech tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises at 2 locations as digitally enabled automated service bureaus that locally design, test and manufacture high-precision components at scale and at lower cost. 2. A scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipments will be introduced to strengthen domestic manufacturing of high value and technologically advanced CIE. This can range from lifts in a multi-storied apartment or firefighting equipment in multiplexes, large or small, and to tunnel boring equipments for building metros and high-altitude roads. I also propose a scheme for container manufacturing to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over a 5-year period. For the labor-intensive textile sector, I propose an integrated program with 5 subparts. 1. The National Fiber Scheme for Self-Reliance in Natural Fibers, such as silk, wool and jute.
Check-in.
Textile expansion and employment scheme to modernize traditional clusters with capital support for machinery, technology upgradation, and common testing and certification centers. 3. The National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. Tex Eco Initiative to promote globally competitive and sustainable textiles and apparels. Samarth 2.0 to modernize the upgrade the textile skilling ecosystem through collaboration with industry and academic institutions.
First of all, the highlight was Yuva Shakti budget, and I'm really expecting to see a lot of things for youth in the budget. What are you guys expecting? Do you think we'll be getting a lot on this?
So
Because
definitely the focus is on the youth, and definitely we must see more internship programs like last year for this year also, and there must be some incentives for first-time salaried employees.
Yeah. Also, the finance minister has also announced a big outlay for the semiconductor mission as well. National Semiconductor Mission 2.0 has also been announced. And when we talk about semiconductors, India is already expanding a lot on that. Apart from that, another key announcement is in terms of critical minerals, and the announcement that the finance minister has made, it looks to us that, of course, the government is looking to expand in that segment. Apart from that, MSMEs have also been talked about, and a good budget allocation for biopharma has also been given. So till now 15 minutes have passed. How do you feel about the budget?
So, well, quick summary. She's talked about tech, talked about marketing, youngsters, right, and also responsibility. Kartavya is the word that she used, right? So kartavya towards the family, community, which is what we were discussing, right? It is the responsibility on both sides, industry, youngsters, society, as well as the government. So that's something that was interesting to watch.
Yeah. Do you have any take on it, Neil?
Yeah, my take would be the first thing that she went in to say, biopharma was the first word she used in the industries. I was very happy. The pharmacy of the world. And the budget that gets presented, biopharma is the first thing that she puts in.
Yes.
Really, really very happy looking at biopharma and biologics being mentioned in the speech. And as a pharmacy of the world, India needs to focus on this.
Needs
this
to
is our
ramp up,
strength. Let us play on our strengths.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have anything to add, Prativ?
Yeah.
How are you liking the budget so far?
The budget has been great for the past 15 minutes. Like them investing in rare earth minerals is one thing I liked, and second was biopharma. So like the minister addressed diabetes, autoimmune disorders. All of these medicines are very expensive, and I have observed people taking that. So huge investment would be a really great initiative, and reduction in the medicines would also be very good.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
What's your take,
Any
Archana?
take? And then
We can
let's
see there is a technology upgradation towards every society and firm, and also in the textile parks and also employment.
Yeah.
okay. Let's switch back. I think there
Yeah,
are
let's
other
switch back to the budget now.
coming.
Mandate TREDS as the transaction settlement platform for all purchases from MSMEs by CPSEs, serving as a benchmark for other corporates. 2. Introduce a credit guarantee support mechanism through CGTMSE for invoice discounting on TREDS platform. 3. Link GEM with TREDS for sharing information with financiers about government purchases from MSMEs, encouraging cheaper and quicker financing. 4. Introduce TREDS receivables as asset-backed securities, helping develop a secondary market, enhancing liquidity and settlement of transactions. Professional support. Government will facilitate professional institutions such as the ICAI, ICSI, ICMAI to design short-term modular courses and practical tools to develop a cadre of corporate mitras, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns. These accredited para-professionals will help MSMEs meet compliance requirements at affordable costs. Infrastructure. During this past decade, our government has undertaken several initiatives for large-scale enhancement of public infrastructure, including through new financing instruments such as Infrastructure Investment Trust (InvITs) and Real Estate Investment Trust (REITs), and institutions like NIIF and NABFID. We shall continue to focus on developing infrastructure in cities with over 5 lakh population, that is Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. We have expanded to become growth centers. Public capital expenditure has increased manifold from 2 lakh crore in 2014-15 to an allocation of 11.2 lakh crore in BE 25-26. In this coming year, that is financial year 2026-27, I propose to increase it to 12.2 lakh crores to continue the momentum. To strengthen the confidence of private developers regarding risks during infrastructure development and construction phase, I propose to set up an infrastructure risk guarantee fund to provide prudentially calibrated partial credit guarantee to lenders. Over the years, REITs have emerged as a successful instrument for asset monetization. I propose to accelerate recycling of significant real estate assets of the CPSEs through the setting up of dedicated REITs. To promote environmentally sustainable movement of cargo, I propose to 1. Establish new dedicated freight corridors connecting Dankuni in the east to Surat in the west. Operationalize 20 new national waterways over the next 5 years, starting with National Waterways 5 in Orissa to connect mineral-rich areas of Talcher and Angul and industrial centers like Kalinga Nagar to the ports of Paradeep and Dhamra. Training institutes will be set up as regional centers of excellence for development of required manpower for these waterways. This will benefit youth in the entire stretch of the waterways to train and acquire skills. Further, a ship repair ecosystem catering to inland waterways will also be set up at Varanasi and Patna. And C, launch a coastal cargo promotion scheme for incentivizing a modal shift from rail to road to increase the share of inland waterways and coastal shipping from 6% to 12% by 2047. To enhance last mile and remote connectivity and promote tourism, I propose to give incentives to indigenize manufacturing of seaplanes. A seaplane VGF scheme will be also introduced to provide support for operations. Carbon capture, utilization and storage. Aligning with the roadmap launched in December 2025, the carbon capture, utilization and storage technologies at scale will achieve higher readiness and in end-use application across 5 industrial sectors, including power, steel, cement, refineries, and chemicals. An outlay of 20,000 crore is proposed over the next 5 years for this purpose. City economic regions. Cities are India's engines of growth, innovation, and opportunities. We shall now focus on Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and even temple towns, which need modern infrastructure and basic amenities. This budget aims to further amplify the potential of cities to deliver the economic power of agglomerations by mapping city economic regions based on their specific growth drivers. An allocation of 5,000 crore per CER over 5 years is proposed for implementing their plans through a challenge mode with a reform-cum-result-based financing mechanism. In order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, we will develop 7 high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors, namely Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bengaluru, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Bengaluru, Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. Financial sector. The Indian banking sector today is characterized by strong balance sheet, historic highs in profitability, improved asset quality, and coverage exceeding 98% of villages in the country. At this juncture, we are well placed to futuristically evaluate the measures needed to continue on the path of reform-led growth of this sector. I propose setting up a high-level committee on banking for Vikasit Bharat. High-level committee on banking for Vikasit Bharat to comprehensively review the sector and align it with India's next phase of growth, while safeguarding financial stability, inclusion, and consumer protection. The vision for NBFCs for Vikasit Bharat has been outlined with clear targets for credit disbursement and technology adoption in order to achieve scale and improve efficiency in the public sector NBFCs. As a first step, it is proposed to restructure the Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. I propose a comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management non-debt instruments rules to create a more contemporary, user-friendly framework for foreign investments consistent with India's evolving economic priorities. Corporate bond market. I propose to introduce a market-making framework with suitable access to funds and derivatives on corporate bond indices. I also propose to introduce total return swaps on corporate bonds. Municipal bonds. To encourage the issuance of municipal bonds of higher value by larger cities, I propose an incentive of 100 crore rupees for a single bond issuance. 100 crore rupees for a single bond issuance of more than 1,000 crore. The current scheme under Amrit which incentivizes issuances up to 200 crores only, will also continue to support smaller and medium towns. That will also continue to support the smaller and medium towns. Ease of doing business. Individual persons resident outside India, PROI, will be permitted to invest in equity instruments of listed Indian companies through the portfolio investment scheme. It is also proposed to increase the investment limit for an individual PROI under the scheme from 5% to 10%, with an overall investment limit for all individual PROIs to 24% from the current 10%. Emerging technologies including AI. 21st century is technology driven. Adoption of technology is for the benefit of all people. Farmers in the field, women in STEM, youth keen to upskill, and Divyangjan to access newer opportunities. The government has taken several steps to support new technologies through AI mission, National Quantum Mission, Anusandhan, National.
And I'll just quickly run through some of the key things that we've seen so far, right? Semiconductor
is to fulfill aspirations and build capacities. Close to 25 crore individuals have come out of multi-dimensional.
The capex number, which is the investment number, that was revised higher from 11.2 lakh crore.
Our government has therefore decided to place a renewed emphasis
today. Gold and silver have also rallied today.
Yeah. Any quick takes?
fulfilling aspirations of a
Economic
youthful
survey
India
which came recently
with the
that
following
indicated
measures.
that we need a more push into the manufacturing sector, and the finance minister has listened, and definitely we are seeing more capex into the manufacturing industry. So that's a good sign, and it will improve the employment in the industry.
That focus on services sector. The committee will prioritize areas to optimize the potential for growth, employment, and exports. They will also assess the impact of emerging technologies, including AI, on jobs and skill requirements and propose measures thereof. To create a range of skilled career pathways, a new range of skilled career pathways for our youth, I propose interventions in the following sectors. Health. Existing institutions for allied health professionals will be upgraded and new AHP institutions established in private and government sectors. This will cover 10 selected disciplines, including optometry, radiology, anesthesia, OT technology, applied psychology and behavioral health, and add 1 lakh AHPs over the next 5 years. A strong care system covering geriatric and allied care services will be built. A variety of NSQF aligned programs will be developed to train multi-skilled caregivers, combining core care and allied skills such as wellness, yoga, and operation of medical assistive devices. In the coming year, 1.5 lakh caregivers will be trained. Hubs for medical value tourism. To promote India as a hub for medical tourism services, I propose to launch a scheme to support states in establishing 5 regional medical hubs in partnership with the private sector. These hubs will serve as integrated healthcare complexes that combine medical, educational and research facilities. They will have Ayush centers, medical value tourism facilitation centers, and infrastructure for diagnostics, post-care and rehabilitation. These hubs will provide diverse opportunities, job opportunities for health professionals, including doctors and AHPs. Ancient Indian yoga, already respected in several parts of the world, was given a mass global recognition when Honorable Prime Minister took it to the UN. Post-COVID, Ayurveda gained a similar global acceptance and recognition. Exporting quality Ayurveda products helps farmers who grow the herbs and youth who process the products. To meet growing global demand, a few more steps are being taken. I propose to, 1, set up 3 new All India Institutes of Ayurveda. 2, upgrade Ayush pharmacies and drug testing labs for higher standards of certification ecosystem and make available more skilled personnel. 3, upgrade the WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center in Jamnagar to bolster evidence-based research, training and awareness for traditional medicine. Animal husbandry. Livestock contributes to close to 16% of farm income, including of poor and marginal households. To scale up availability of veterinary professionals by more than 20,000, I propose to roll out a loan-linked capital subsidy support scheme for establishment of veterinary and para-veterinary colleges, veterinary hospitals, diagnostic laboratories, and breeding facilities in private sector. Collaboration between Indian and foreign institutions will also be facilitated. Orange economy. India's animation, visual effects, gaming and comics sector, AVGC sector, is a growing industry projected to require 2 million professionals by 2030. I propose to support the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, Mumbai, in setting up AVGC content creator labs in 15,000 secondary schools all over the country and 500 colleges. The Indian design industry is expanding rapidly, and yet there is a shortage of Indian designers. I propose to establish, through Challenge Route, a new National Institute of Design to boost design education and development in the eastern region of India. Education. Our government will support states through Challenge Route in creating 5 university townships in the vicinity of major industrial and logistics corridors. These planned academic zones will host multiple universities, colleges and research institutions, skill centers and residential complexes. In higher education, STEM institutions, prolonged hours of study and laboratory work pose some challenges for girl students. Through VGF, viability gap funding and capital support, 1 girls' hostel will be established in every district. To promote astrophysics and astronomy, via immersive experiences. 4 telescope infrastructure facilities will be set up or upgraded. The National Large Solar Telescope, the National Large Optical Infrared Telescope, the Himalayan Chandra Telescope, and the Cosmos 2 Planetarium. Tourism. The tourism sector has the potential to play a large role in the employment generation, forex earnings, and expanding the local economy. I propose to set up a National Institute of Hospitality by upgrading the existing National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology. It will function as a bridge between academia, industry, and government. I also propose a pilot scheme for upskilling 10,000 guides in 20 iconic tourist sites through a standardized, high-quality, 12-week training course in hybrid mode in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Management. A national destination digital knowledge grid will be established to digitally document all places of significance, cultural, spiritual, and heritage. This initiative will create a new ecosystem of jobs for local researchers, historians, content creators, and technology partners. India has the potential and opportunity to offer world-class trekking and hiking experience. We will develop ecologically sustainable mountain trails in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Jammu Kashmir. Also in Araku Valley in the Eastern Ghats and Podigai Malai in the Western Ghats. Turtle trails along key nesting sites in the coastal areas of Odisha, Karnataka, and Kerala. And 3 bird watching trails along the Pulikat Lake in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. It's on the border. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, we established the International Big Cat Alliance in 2024. This year, India is hosting the first ever Global Big Cat Summit, where heads of governments and ministers from 95 range countries will deliberate on collective strategies for conservation. Heritage and culture tourism. I propose to develop 15 archaeological sites, including Lothal, Dolavira, Rakhi Gadi, Adichanallur, Saranath, Hastinapur, and Leh Palace into vibrant experiential cultural destinations. Excavated landscapes will be open to the public through curated walkways. Immersive storytelling skills and technologies will be introduced to help conservation labs, interpretation centers, and guides. The sports sector provides multiple means of employment, skilling, and job opportunities. Taking forward the systematic nurturing of sports talent which is set in motion through the Khelo India program earlier, I propose to launch a Khelo India mission to transform the sports sector over the next decade. The mission will facilitate an integrated talent development pathway supported by training centers which are foundational, intermediate, and elite levels. B, systematic development of coaches and support staff. C, integration of sports science and technology. D, competitions and leagues to promote sports culture and provide platforms. And E, development of sports infrastructure for training and competition. Our third Kartavya aligns with our vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas towards Vikasit Bharat. This requires targeted efforts for 1. Increasing farmer incomes through productivity enhancement and entrepreneurship, with special attention to small and marginal farmers. B. Empowering Divyangjan through access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high-quality assistive devices. C. Empowering the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. D. Focus on the Purvodaya states and the Northeast region to accelerate development and employment opportunities. Fisheries. We will undertake initiatives for integrated development of 500 reservoirs and Amrit Sarovars. 2. Strengthen the fisheries value chain in coastal areas and enable market linkages involving startups and women-led groups together with fish farmer producer organizations. Animal husbandry. To provide quality employment opportunities in rural and peri-urban areas, we will support the animal husbandry sector in entrepreneurship development through A. A credit-linked subsidy program, B. Scaling up and modernization of livestock enterprises, C. Enhanced creation of livestock, dairy, and poultry enhanced creation of livestock, dairy, and poultry-focused integrated value chains, and D. Encourage creation of livestock farmer-producer organizations. High-value agriculture. To diversify farm outputs, increase productivity, enhance farmers' incomes.
Lots of announcements. It almost looks like a buffet that's out here.
Yeah, very dynamic budget it looks like as of now.
Yeah. And besides, what is most interesting is besides the big ticket announcements, there's also a lot of interesting things that that the FM has really taken the effort in terms of setting up an institute of design and developing archaeological
tourism
sites.
has also been a key focus. Looks like it's a lot of things have been come up under tourism.
So extremely holistic budget, right? You have the trains and the infra on the one side, but you also have turtle trails and archaeological Khelo India and all of that, right? So fairly eclectic. Any sportsman will be happy here.
Yeah, I'm actually very happy listening to the allocations of the sports, because in India we do have talent, but we are not getting the output which we need. So this allocation will help us a lot, and I think our generation, the Gen Zs, they should take the opportunity of participating in it.
Yeah. I would want to have your take on what is on the content creation side.
Oh yeah, that was interesting, right?
The face
content
of the media
creation.
industry.
Yes.
You on air every day.
Yes.
So what's your take on the content creation side?
We should see what it seems that the idea is that we'll create content creation labs across the country, right, in colleges and so on.
Yeah.
Which is very significant, because the way the media and social media are evolving, right? The nature of audiences and consumption is changing, right? So it will really help to train a lot of people to see, we're entering an age of what do you say, decentralized audience building, right? Previously it was only the media, and now there's also social media, right? Traditional media versus social media. So it will definitely help to really bring people up to speed in terms of how you can utilize content creation most people look at content creation as monetization and so on, but actually really the whole story is about building your own personal audiences, right? So this is something I think is very interesting, and we'll have to see how this whole thing works
out. Yeah, plus I think content creation industry has grown massively.
Absolutely.
People, the whole industry's valuation, I'm not able to exact the quote number, but the whole valuation is in billions.
Yeah.
So I think this is one crucial, and I think it's interesting to see such kind of labs being set up in India, and I think people would be able to explore more, and it can work out for young generation as well as I think for all sorts of generation it can work out well if it is implemented as it is being said.
Yeah, but this is absolutely for Gen Zs, I think. something
Yeah.
aimed at youngsters.
Yeah,
right?
but I think every generation can
Benefit
it
from
will
it.
depend on how it is set up.
Yeah,
But we'll
Another
see.
thing, like I will like to mention that we were discussing before the start of the budget that we need skill improvements in the scene, and that's why the FM has announced that they are collaborating with Institute of Chartered Accountants and Company Secretary to create young professionals in District 2 and District 3 and generate more professionals to help the MSME sector. That is also another positive outcome of this budget, and it will boost more employment creation in this. Journey.
Absolutely.
So 45 minutes almost in the budget. So far, how are you liking it all?
Yeah, let's have your take.
How do you find the budget?
I like the concept of developing hostels in every district. Like it's good for the one who is traveling all around, or the jobs.
Yeah.
Like jobs are not at permanent spots, so it's in search of housing facilities and all. The hostel may provide more reasonable and more successful rate. For the
Absolutely,
girls.
absolutely. That's
and
one.
it's quite safer from everything.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Also, I'm looking forward for this AI summit which is happening in Delhi. The FM also announced that they are conducting an AI summit in the Delhi this February month only, and there are many CEOs which are participating in that. So that's a very interesting thing, and we are looking forward for more investments in the AI from the government side and from the private sector, so that it can generate more employment and more capital structures and companies in the industry.
All right, let's quickly switch back to the FM. I think the announcements are still obviously coming in.
Yeah, I think some things for women.
Assistive products. Reaffirming our commitment to mental health and trauma care. There are no national institutes for mental health care in North India. We will therefore set up a NIMHANS 2 and also upgrade national mental health institutes in Ranchi and in Tezpur as regional apex institutions. Emergencies expose families, particularly the poor and vulnerable, to unexpected expenditure. We will strengthen and increase these capacities by 50% in district hospitals by establishing emergency and trauma care centers. Focus on Purvodaya states and northeastern regions. Purvodaya, I propose the development of an integrated East Coast industrial corridor with a well-connected node at Durgapur, creation of 5 tourism destinations in 5 Purvodaya states, and the provision of 4,000 e-buses. Buddhist sites in northeastern region. The northeastern region is a civilizational confluence of Theravada and Mahayana or Vajrayana traditions. I propose to launch a scheme for development of Buddhist circuits in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. The scheme will cover preservation of temples and monasteries, pilgrimage interpretation centers, connectivity, and pilgrim amenities. 16th Finance Commission. On 17th November 2025, the 16th Finance Commission submitted its report to the President. As mandated under Article 281 of the Constitution, the government is to lay the report along with the explanatory memorandum on the action taken report on the recommendations of the Commission in Parliament, which, Sir, Honourable Speaker, you've allowed me to do at the commencement of this session. The government has accepted the recommendation of the Commission to retain the vertical share of devolution at 41%. As recommended by the Commission, I have provided 1.4 lakh crores of rupees to the states for the year 2026-2027 as Finance Commission grants. These include rural and urban local body and disaster management grants. Fiscal consolidation. Government has been delivering on our fiscal commitments consistently without compromising on social needs. To strive towards accepted standards of fiscal management in Budget 25-26, I had indicated that the central government would target reaching a debt to GDP ratio of 50 plus or minus 1% by 2030-31. In line with this, the debt to GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% of GDP in BE 26-27, compared to 56.1% of GDP in RE 25-26. A declining debt to GDP ratio will gradually free up resources for priority sector lending and expenditure by reducing the outgo on interest payments. One of the main operational instruments for debt targeting is the fiscal deficit. I am happy to inform this august House that I fulfilled my commitment made in 2021-2022 to reduce fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP by 25-26. In RE 25-26, the fiscal deficit has been estimated at par with BE of 2025-26 at 4.4% of GDP. In line with the new fiscal prudence path of debt consolidation, the fiscal deficit in BE 26-27 is estimated to be 4.3% of the GDP. The revised estimates of the non-debt receipts are 34 lakh crore rupees, of which the centre's net tax receipts are 26.7 lakh crore. The revised estimate of the total expenditure is 49.6 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 11 lakh crores. Budget estimates 2026 to 2027. Coming to 26-27, the non-debt receipts and the total expenditure are estimated as 36.5 lakh crore and 53.5 lakh crore respectively. The centre's net tax receipts are estimated at 28.7 lakh crore rupees. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.7 lakh crore rupees. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 17.2 lakh crore rupees. I'll now move to Part B. Part B, direct taxes. Honorable Speaker, sir, I now present my proposals on direct taxes. New Income Tax Act. In July 2024, I announced a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961. This was completed in a record time, and the Income Tax Act 2025 will come into effect from 1st April 2026. The simplified income tax rules and forms will be notified shortly, giving adequate time to taxpayers to acquaint themselves with its requirements. The forms have been redesigned such that ordinary citizens can comply without difficulty. Ease of living. I propose that any interest awarded by the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal to a natural person will be exempt from income tax, and any TDS on this account will be done away with. I propose to reduce TCS rate on the sale of overseas tour program package from the current 5% and 20% to 2% without any stipulation of amount. I propose to reduce TCS rate for pursuing education and for medical purposes under the Liberalized Remittance Scheme, popularly known as LRS, from 5% to 2%. Supply of manpower services is proposed to be specifically brought within the ambit of payment to contractors for the purpose of TDS to avoid ambiguity. Thus, TDS on these services will be at the rate of either 1% or 2% only. I propose a scheme for small taxpayers wherein a rule-based automated process will enable obtaining a lower or nil deduction certificate instead of filing an application with the assessing officer. For the ease of taxpayer holding securities in multiple companies, I propose to enable depositories to accept Form 15G or Form 15H from the investor and provide it directly to various relevant companies. I propose to extend time available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individuals with ITR 1 and ITR 2 returns will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit business cases or trusts are proposed to be allowed time till 31st August. TDS on sale of immovable property by a non-resident is proposed to be deducted and deposited through resident buyers and his or her PAN-based challan instead of requiring a TAN, which is a temporary accounting number. To address practical issues of small taxpayers like students, young professionals, tech employees, relocated NRIs, and such others, I propose to introduce a one-time 6-month foreign asset disclosure scheme for these taxpayers to disclose income or assets below a certain size. This scheme would be applicable for two categories of taxpayers, namely A, who did not disclose their overseas income or assets, and B, who disclosed their overseas income and or paid due tax but could not declare the asset acquired. For category A, the limit of undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty, and would thereby get immunity from prosecution. For category B, asset value is proposed to be up to 5 crore rupees. Here, immunity from both penalty and prosecution will be available with a payment of fee of 1 lakh rupees. Rationalizing penalty and prosecution. Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer on the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Further, quantum of prepayment is being reduced from 20% to 10% and will continue to be calculated only on core tax demand. As an additional measure for reducing litigation, I propose to allow taxpayers to update their returns even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated, and an additional 10% tax rate over and above the rate applicable for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting too. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statement for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of books of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, minor offences will attract fine only. The remaining prosecutions will be graded commensurate with the quantum of offence. They will entail only simple imprisonment with maximum imprisonment reduced to 2 years and power to courts to convert even those into fines. There is no penalty. There is no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024. Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oilseeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives. Supporting IT sector as India's growth engine. India is a global leader in software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge process outsourcing services, and contract R&D services relating to software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are proposed to be clubbed under a single category of information technology services with a common safe harbor margin of 15.5% applicable to all. The threshold for availing safe harbor for IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crore rupees to 2,000 crore rupees. Safe harbor for IT services shall be approved by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax officer to examine and accept the application. Once applied by an IT services company, the same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years at a stretch at its choice. For IT services companies who want to conclude advanced pricing agreement, APA, I propose to fast-track unilateral APA process for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. The period of 2 years can be extended by a further period of 6 months on taxpayers' request. I propose to extend the facility of modified returns available to the entity entering APA to its associated entities also. Attracting global business and investment. Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers, I propose to provide tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India. It will, however, need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity. I also propose to provide a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case the company providing data center services from India is a related entity. To harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing, I propose to provide safe harbor to non-residents for component warehousing in a bonded warehouse at a profit margin of 2% of the invoice value. The resultant tax of about 0.7% will be much lower than in competing jurisdictions. To provide fillip to toll manufacturing in India, I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years to any non-resident who provides capital goods, equipment, or tooling to any toll manufacturer in a bonded zone. To encourage vast pool of global talent to work in India for a longer period of time, I propose to provide exemption to global, non-India sourced income of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum alternate tax, the MAT, to all non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis. Tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation and disclosure standards, the ICDS, in the Indian Accounting Standards, IND AS itself. Separate accounting requirement based on ICDS will be done away with from the tax year 27-28. To support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms to become global leaders, I propose to rationalize the definition of accountant for the purposes of safe harbor rules. Other tax proposals. Change in taxation of buyback was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route by promoters. In the interest of minority shareholders, I propose to tax buyback for all types of shareholders as capital gains. However, to disincentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be 30%. TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, namely alcoholic liquor, scrap, and minerals, will be rationalized to 2%, and that on tendu leaves will be reduced from 5% to 2%. I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% from the present 0.02%. STT on options premium and exercise of options are both proposed to be raised to 0.15% from the present rate of 0.1% and 0.125% respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019 by providing them a simplified regime with lower tax rate so that they could productively focus on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To encourage companies to shift to the new regime, set off of brought forward MAT credit, minimum alternate tax credit, is proposed to be allowed to companies only in the new regime. Set off using available MAT credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime. MAT is proposed to be made final tax, so there will be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. In line with this change, the rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%. The brought forward MAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till 30th March 2026 will continue to be available to them for set-off as above. Indirect taxes. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals for customs and central excise aim to further simplify the tariff structure, support domestic manufacturing, promote export competitiveness, and correct inversion in duty. To continue weeding out long continuing customs duty exemptions, I propose to remove certain exemptions on items which are being manufactured in India or where the imports are negligible. Similarly, to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate of duty applicable on a particular item, I propose to incorporate certain effective rates in various customs notifications to the tariff schedule itself. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. Promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile products. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free imports of specified inputs used for processing seafoods for export from the current 1% to 3% of FOB value of the previous year's export turnover. I also propose to allow duty-free imports of specified inputs, which is currently available for exports of leather or synthetic footwear, to exports of shoe uppers as well. I propose to extend the time period for export of final product from the existing 6 months to 1 year for exporters of leather or textile garments, leather or synthetic footwear, and other leather products. Energy transition and security. I propose to extend the basic customs duty exemption given to capital goods used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for batteries to those used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage systems also. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on import of sodium antimonate for use in manufacture of solar glass. Nuclear power. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty exemption on imports of goods required for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 and expand it for all nuclear plants irrespective of their capacity. Critical minerals. It is proposed to provide basic customs duty exemption to the import of capital goods required for the processing of critical minerals in India. Biogas blended CNG. I propose to exclude the entire value of biogas while calculating the central excise duty payable on biogas blended CNG. Civil and defense aviation. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on components and parts required for the manufacture of civilian training and other aircrafts. It is proposed to exempt basic customs duty on raw materials imported for the manufacture of parts of aircraft to be used in maintenance, repair, or overall requirements by units in the defense sector. Electronics. To deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on specified parts used in the manufacture of microwave ovens. Special economic zone. To address the concerns arising about utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in the special economic zones, due to global trade disruptions, I propose as a special one-time measure to facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to the domestic tariff area at concessional rates of duty. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed proportion of their exports. Necessary regulatory changes will be undertaken to operationalize the measures while ensuring level playing field for the units working in the DTA. Ease of living. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use, I propose to reduce the tariff rate on all dutiable goods imported for personal use from 20% to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on 17 drugs or medicines. I propose also to add 7 more rare diseases for the purposes of exempting import duties on personal imports of drugs, medicines, and food for special medical purposes used in their treatment. Customs process. India's role and share in the global trade is poised for a major leap in line with our ambition and journey towards Vikasit Bharat. In this regard, I propose many measures for custom processes to have minimal intervention for smoother and faster movement of goods and greater certainty to the trade. Trust-based systems. I propose to enhance duty deferral period for Tier 2 and Tier 3 authorized economic operators, known as AEOs, from 15 days to 30 days. I propose to provide eligible manufacturer importers the same duty deferral facility. This should encourage them to get themselves accredited as a full-fledged Tier 3 AEO in due course. To provide greater certainty and for better business planning, I propose to extend validity period of advance ruling binding on customs from the present 3 years to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of government approach, government agencies will be encouraged to leverage AEO accreditation for preferential treatment in clearing their cargo. Regular importers with trusted long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the risk system so that the need for verification of their cargo every time can be minimized. Export cargo using electronic sealing. Export cargo using electronic sealing will be provided through clearance from the factory premises to the ship. For import of goods not needing any compliance, filing of bill of entry by a trusted importer and arrival of goods will automatically notify customs for completing their clearance formalities. This will enable goods to be released immediately on arrival. The customs warehouse framework will be transformed into a warehouse operator-centric system with a self-declarations, electronic tracking, and risk-based audit. These reforms will move away from the current system of officer-dependent approvals and reduce transaction delays and compliance costs. Ease of doing business. Approvals required for cargo clearance from various government agencies will be seamlessly processed through a single and interconnected digital window by the end of the financial year. Processes involved in clearance of food, drugs, plant, and animal and wildlife products, accounting for about 70% of interdicted cargo, will be operationalized on this system by April 2026 itself. For goods not having any compliance requirement, clearance will be done by customs immediately after online registration is completed by the importer, subject to the payment of duty. Customs integrated system will be rolled out in 2 years as a single integrated and scalable platform for all customs processes. Utilization of non-intrusive scanning with advanced imaging and AI technology for risk assessment will be expanded in a phased manner with the objective to scan every container across all the major ports. New export opportunities to support Indian fishermen to fully harness the economic value of marine resources beyond our territorial waters. The following measures will be taken. A. Fish catch by an Indian fishing vessel in exclusive economic zone or on the high seas will be made free of duty. Landing of such fish on foreign port will be treated as export of goods. Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse during fish catch, transit or transshipment. To support aspirations of India's small businesses, artisans and startups to access global markets through e-commerce, I am pleased to announce complete removal of the current value cap of 10 lakh rupees per consignment on courier exports. In addition, handling of rejected and returned consignments will be improved with effective use of technology for identifying such consignments. I propose to revise provisions governing baggage clearance during international travel to address genuine concerns of passengers. The revised rules will enhance duty-free allowances in line with the present-day travel realities and provide clarity in temporary carriage of goods brought in or taken out. There are honest taxpayers who are willing to settle disputes by paying all their dues, but they get deterred due to negative connotation associated with penalty. They will now be able to close cases by paying an additional amount in lieu of penalty. Honorable Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House. Jai Hind. One and a half hours.
आइटम नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Item number 2, sir.
3.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the the following statements under Section 3, 1 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003. Medium-term fiscal policy, fiscal policy strategy statement, and macroeconomic framework statement.
आइटम नंबर 4 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Sir, with your permission, I move for leave to introduce the finance bill.
Yeah, so the budget speech has ended and...
No, the budget speech is still on, no?
No.
Okay. Oh yeah, sure.
It has ended. So, first things first, absolutely the markets are in red as we can see, and there are a few reasons behind it. Number one is the increase in STT, and there's no major announcement. Also, a lot of people were expecting a major allocation for defense as well. There was nothing about defense. People were bullish on defense, and a new entry came, that is biopharma was the hero of the budget, I would say. That was the first sector that was announced in the budget. But I want to know from you guys, as a youth, we sat here from Gen Z's perspective, from youth perspective, कि जो देश के युवा हैं उनके लिए क्या आने वाला है? How satisfied are you from the budget?
Yeah, I would like to go first. Looks a bit overstretched. Like she wants to put in her eggs in all the baskets, but now there are not enough eggs and more baskets to be addressed.
Okay.
So bit of overstretched. She is stretching her limits is what I have been
Check.
assessing the budget as well.
Check.
Came in with the high hopes for the defense industry because after what Operation Sindoor did and the way retaliation came from the adversary on the eastern and the western fronts, you cannot trust your neighbors. And we aren't even touching $100 billion of basic defense expenditure requirement.
Yeah.
You can have absolute brilliantly shiny hotels, great educational institutions. What use when you cannot protect it from an incoming missile or a drone?
Yeah.
So everything goes for a toss. You can have gold at home, but if that gold is not safe, what will you do? So for defense at least, the long-standing demand of at least having an $100 billion defense budget is what I was looking forward for.
And also in the beginning you were looking forward for some tax relief as well. What do you have to say on that?
Perfect. On the contrary, we are actually going up. I was hoping if she could balance it in the cash market for at least LTCGs getting reduced.
Yeah, actually a lot of people were expecting.
That wants to invest for the long term. You cannot do 12.5, at least a 10 was a thing that
I can hear you.
Expecting if she could roll that back. Buyback side also, if I could take a minute.
Absolutely, one of the reasons why markets are in red right now.
The first budget of the Modi 3.0, the buyback tax, that received
check, one,
fair
two,
amount
three.
of criticism from everyone.
Yes.
This thing, okay fine, for the minorities you have reduced it and again it is being taxed at the capital gains. But for the promoters you have again made it at flat 30%.
Yeah.
So basically she's telling you cannot take advantage of the tax arbitrage of the promoter and the corporate. So these are some minute things wherein you are too much intervening to fix everything. I want.
Yeah. All right. Let me intervene. If you have to rate this budget on a scale of 10, how would you rate it?
6.5 out of 10.
That's a pretty hard scorecard for the budget. All right. Moving on forward, what do you think of the budget? How do you think it was?
So I am pretty not satisfied with the budget. Basically, the main issue where the FIs are continuously selling in the Indian markets, and the need of the hour was to reduce the LTCG or some reduction in STT, so that we can induce the FIs investment in the markets. But that has not been addressed, and continuously we are seeing the continuous selling of the foreign investors, which is a sad point that which is not been addressed in the current market, current budget. So definitely it's a disappointment, and for the rating I will rate it at 5.5.
Oh my God, you are just reducing it.
So two market-oriented youngsters have spoken, right? And their verdict is that okay, it is a little on the underwhelming side, right? But I want to just quickly come in here. See, we don't yet know a lot of fine print, right? In terms of the defense allocation, I did not see a number, right? Now we will have to go through the fine print to find out whether that number has gone up, because the defense budget has already gone up from, I think, what, 2.5 lakh crore from several years ago.
$82 billion was in terms of dollar value.
Yeah. No, over the past 10 odd years, I think there has been a 4x increase in the defense budget, right? So we'll have to now see what the number is before we, form an opinion on the defense side at least. But the market clearly is obviously very affected.
It's down 2% now.
Yeah. And therefore we'll have to.
So all right, for the budget right now, let's take a break for sort of 2 minutes, and then we'll jump right back onto it. We'll look at more updates coming in.
I now move to specific proposals. Under our first Kartavya, to accelerate and sustain economic growth, I propose interventions in 6 areas. 1. Scaling up manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. 2. Rejuvenating legacy industrial sectors. 3. Creating champion MSMEs. 4. Delivering a powerful push for infrastructure. 5. Ensuring long-term security and stability. And 6. Developing city economic regions. Scaling up of manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. Biopharma Shakti, meaning biopharma strategy for health advancement through knowledge, technology, and innovation. India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cancer, and autoimmune disorders. Biologic medicines are key to longevity and quality of life at affordable costs. To develop India as a global biopharma manufacturing hub, I propose the Biopharma Shakti with an outlay of 10,000 crores over the next 5 years. This will build the ecosystem for domestic production of biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma-focused network with 3 new national institutes of pharmaceutical education and research, popularly known as NIPERs, and upgrading 7 existing ones. It will also create a network of 1,000 accredited India clinical trials sites. We propose to strengthen the Central Drug Standard Control Organization to meet global standards and approve timeframes through approval timeframes through a dedicated scientific review cadre and specialists. India's semiconductor mission 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor sector capabilities. Building on this, we will launch ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials, design full-stack Indian IP, and fortify supply chains. We will also focus on industry-led research and training centers to develop technology and skilled workforce. The Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme, launched in April 2025, with an outlay of 22,919 crores, already has investment commitments at double the targets. We propose to increase the outlay to 40,000 crores to capitalize on this momentum. A scheme for rare earth permanent magnets was launched in 2025 November. We now propose to support the mineral-rich states of Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu to establish dedicated rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, research, and manufacturing. To enhance domestic chemical production and reduce import dependency, we will launch a scheme to support states in establishing 3 dedicated chemical parks through challenge route on a cluster-based plug-and-play model. Strong capital goods. Strong capital goods capability is a determinant of productivity and quality across different sectors. Towards building this capacity, I propose the following. High-tech tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises at 2 locations as digitally enabled automated service bureaus that locally design, test, and manufacture high-precision components at scale and at lower cost. 2. A scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipments will be introduced to strengthen domestic manufacturing of high value and technologically advanced CIE. This can range from lifts in a multi-storied apartment or firefighting equipment in multiplexes, large or small, and to tunnel boring equipments for building metros and high altitude roads. I also propose a scheme for container manufacturing to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over a 5-year period.
We are back with a new co-watcher. Saisha has joined us and she's been closely tracking the budget. What do you think of the budget, Saisha?
I think Sasha is still processing a lot of the announcements that have come in, right? What I will do is I'll quickly set the context, right, for all of us. So the budget speech is over, obviously, and the most interesting aspect is that the finance minister chose to call it Kartavya, right, where she's saying that this, she's outlined, a path for the next, a foreseeable future. There was also one announcement that we saw was a tax break for companies investing in data centers till 2047, right? More than a 20-year window. So we've just got the budget speech, the budget document, where there is the first kartavya is to accelerate and sustain economic growth. The second is to fulfill aspirations and build capacity, and the third is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, right? Now the point here is that the approach that the government seems to take, or the finance minister seems to take, is that we will be looking at the budget very holistically rather than to please any one particular segment. It's clearly not a very politically aimed budget. No freebies, no big budget announcements, right? The market obviously is not happy because the STT has been increased, right? So the market has fallen fairly significantly. We can see a lot of red on the green, but at the same time there are a lot of small announcements from various things, from cancer relief for cancer patients, right, to lots of announcements on AI and technology and sports and so on, right? So all in all, I would say my first take is that this seems like a very fairly well-rounded budget. It tries to address a lot of things for various stakeholders, but where it lacks perhaps is there one firepower, right? Is there one big announcement that would really take everybody in? I think that perhaps is missing here, right? So this is what my first assessment would be. And over to y'all. I think our youngsters have been watching the speech with us, right? And the idea is that we want to get the Gen Z take, right? So anybody wants to?
Let's start with Saisha. I would like to hear what's your take on the budget.
Sure. I like the criticism in terms of that it doesn't seem like there's one big major announcement. However, as a political science student, I actually really love this approach of it being holistic, of there being a lot of emphasis on human development, right? When she talks about opening hostels in specific districts, when she talks about how they're opening a new institute of design and the content creation labs, it seems like while there may not be that kind of specificity that means there's one big major reform happening, I think what is really important and key to this budget, this new budget, is that you have multiple industries, multiple skill sectors, and that means that it's less likely, hopefully, that people will lag behind, because there's investment in human development and there's also a lot of investment in the private firms, and I'm just really excited for India's future. Over to you guys.
Yeah, what do you think about the budget?
I have a few takes. That's the nuclear sector and the solar sector. The import duties have been reduced. That was a very good thing. Second was the infrastructure. So now, as the minister said, that even shipment and all will be considered in infrastructure. My main key take is on the highways, because main is that usually a lot of people use the highways and majority transportation also takes place. So highway budget was seemingly not prepared. Third is defense. Obviously defense was one of the things that he said. See, we have 2 to 3 countries attacking us politically and non-politically. He having a very low budget, even though having a 4x increase from the last times, we still need a lot of increase in it, because we may never know when the other countries might attack us. And rest, the budget was really nice. Sports, nuclear sector, solar sector, all have been very great. And lastly, 2 things I noticed were the mental section and as well as the design and everything, because not many people take up this segment, which minister did was a really nice thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like on the positive side, I am seeing the tax break in the data centers for the data center companies. It's a very positive thing. Like currently we are having in the February the AI summit, and this tax break for next 20 years seems a long-term vision for the markets and for the companies to invest in India. And it's also a security for India. Like the data, the information of Indian users will be stored in India. So it's a plus point for the security point of view also, the defense point of view also, and for the creation of employment in the data centers industry. So it's a very good tax break for the companies, and looking forward that we will be seeing more companies investing in this sector from this point of view.
Great. Neil, you have a take? I think you have a fairly nuanced take on this.
Fairly two things. Gen Zs I see get criticized a lot of for a lot of things, but mental health, that was something Gen Zs have brought an awareness into, at least what
Absolutely.
I feel. Like each and every part of the credit that should go to the Gen Zs to bring mental health issues out is very commendable, and that needs to be done. But the FM acknowledging that thing, providing funds, and showing us that the government is listening and they want to set up something for the mental health of people. They are addressing this issue. There's a fair amount of generation gap, age gap also, but still we have been able to raise our voices to the social media on these factors, that mental health also matters. So that was one thing which I found it was not even expected. No one expected her to bring out mental health in the budget speech. Other than that, I would like to see somewhere shipping wasn't mentioned. Let us see in the nuanced document if shipping has got something else, because there was big shot announcements by the ministers on the shipping sector. Here shipping did not get a fair amount of mentioning. Maybe she wanted to keep a budget small, or we'll have to get into the details there. So that thing, and the content creation, I as a follower of geopolitics always see India's image has been of a soft power. We are not able to project ourselves fairly strongly on the world stage. So content creation would be one way wherein we can utilize our large population so that we can create content and show everyone that India is not just underdeveloped or a developing country, but this is a country which is looking for more power, the country that is looking for more opportunities, and we want to show Indians are no less.
So in conclusivity,
I want to quickly come in on the defense part. The numbers have come in. In the last budget, the government had penciled in 4,90,000, 4.9 trillion, right? So that's 490 lakh crore,
$490,000,
right? And then the government ended up spending in the current fiscal 567. Right, so that is a significant increase, and this obviously this spend is understandable because of the various developments that took place, right, including Operation Sindoor and stuff like that. For the next fiscal, we've penciled in 594. So from 567 that we spent in the current fiscal, the government expects to spend 594. That's roughly a 5% increase, not a significant increase, but an increase nonetheless, right? And it comes on the back of a higher base, right? The base already has been revised, right? We went from what we were hoping to spend 490, we ended up spending 567, and now we'll spend 594. So that is at least one one increase that comes on a high base, right? Let's quickly go over some of the other numbers as well. Health is something that is obviously something that a lot of us watch, right? Government had penciled in 98,000 crore for health, ended up spending 94, but next year we're penciling in 104, right? So that is the number on health. Let's look at a few others before we proceed. Transport, we penciled in 548 trillion, ended up spending 547, and aim to spend 598 in the next fiscal. Right? So again, a marginal increase there, not a significant increase, and that aligns well with the overall capex number. The overall capex number has gone from 11 lakh crore roughly, or to a little over 12 lakh crore, right, give or take. So that is what it is. So marginal increases across various capex heavy areas. So that's one thing that I want to just highlight. And one last thing is our nominal GDP. Let's see where that is. I'm not able to
So while we figure out the nominal GDP, let's also talk about inclusivity. What each of you just go through what was your favorite part of the budget and which was your least favorite part of the budget. Who would like to go first?
I would want these guys to go first.
Okay. So
Let's start with favorite part of the budget. Let's make it
Yeah.
easy.
So the favorite part in this budget is definitely the tax break for the data center companies and the reduction in custom duties for from 20% to 10% for the healthcare sector. So this custom duty reduction will promote the health tourism in India, like the foreign NRIs coming into India for health treatments. That will give a proper boost to the industry overall for taking health initiatives and improving this sector.
And which was your least favorite part of the budget?
So the least favorite part was not reduction in the LTCG or the STT increasing.
I think that will be really supported by many because many were expecting that. You, Saisha?
I'm going to start off with my favorite part. My least favorite is a little bit difficult. My favorite part would have to be the investment on the content creation labs because I think that's very innovative.
Yeah, that was actually very interesting.
Yeah, if we think about the value that content adds to our daily lives, no matter where you are, even when you go to the most deprived villages in India, they have a smartphone and they're consuming content and they're even creating it, right? So I think it's really interesting that the Indian government is choosing to invest in that. As you said, it gives the ability for any individual to build their own audience. And in today's economy, what is more important than people's attention? We know that, we work in media. I actually have a question for you two because you guys have such amazing expertise and it would be nice to get your guys' kind of take. In your professional opinion, what do you think is the most ambitious part of the new budget? What do you think will be the most difficult to achieve?
So I think the most interesting, the most ambitious part, I would say, is the fact that the government puts out this is just an annual statement of accounts, right? I mean, we hype it up because it's an important event, but it's effectively an accounting exercise where you then make projections for the next year, right? What I would like to see is where we've allocated the biggest spends, right? Whether we end up spending, for example, we were talking about the budget and I'm just going over some of the numbers more closely. While the increase on defense is marginal on the overall number, the capex number is a very sharp jump, 22%. So the capex figure is 2.2 lakh crore versus 1.8 lakh crore that we ended up spending in FY26, right? So that 22% jump on defense, can we end up spending that amount, right? Because a lot of this is we're trying to reinvigorate homegrown manufacturing in the defense sector, right? Whether we can really end up working with the HALs and the various companies that we have, including state-owned as well as private sector companies, and whether we can get those kind of numbers in order to really achieve what we're trying to achieve on defense, right? That's the first point. I'm also particularly interested in looking at the PLI scheme, the incentive for manufacturing. One number that I'm looking at is the PLI for mobile phone and IT hardware manufacturing has gone from 1500 crore to 9000 crore. That's a 6x jump, right? And we all know that the whole PLI scheme has been very successful in some of the areas that it has done well, right? Mobile phone manufacturing in India has gone up like, I don't know, 50x or 100x, some very large number. So how do we take this PLI scheme and how do we expand it to the other areas? That's something that I would really like to watch for. So this is my overall take on.
So I would like to add on here to your question. In terms of ambitiousness, I found two things in the budget. I felt India is really pushing up for the semiconductors. Semiconductor Mission 2.0 was also announced, and for the critical minerals as well. So geopolitically, if we see semiconductors, creating them here in India, producing that all here is a big challenge right now. There are already global leaders out there in terms of semiconductors. So I think that push is really necessary for India to grow digitally as well. And secondly, the critical minerals thing, we all know China is currently dominating that sector. So giving that a certain push, I found it to be ambitious. I found these two sectors have more potential, and they can add big numbers to the economy as well if implemented successfully.
What do you guys think are going to be the challenges with implementation? Oh, sorry.
Well, that's just another question. See, with the implementation part, I think we all of us already discussed that there needs to be a better transparency, because every time certain numbers come, certain numbers are allocated to certain sectors, but we do not know how much of the budget has been allocated, how much has been spent. There needs to be more transparency. Now, moving forward, let's get to Neil as well on what's his take of favorite part and the least favorite part of the budget.
I would like to speak on the one thing, that is I like people who walk the talk. Like, you tell something, you do it. And I would really praise Nirmala Sitharaman. Many years ago she gave a target that the budget will have fiscal prudence.
Yes.
We will not do random allocations and give some targets and miss out on it. So 4.3%, the next target for fiscal deficit, is very commendable. No finance minister in the country up until now has been able to achieve this discipline. So you walk the talk, you walk. Great part.
No, absolutely.
And again, building on the same thing, since dampness also we are talking of.
Yeah.
Again, walk the talk thing. Tourism, lot of talk. I don't see a lot of work happening there. So again, some places there are promising things that they have done. They are talking and they are walking, but tourism seems to be more talk and less walk. So tourism, yes. I feel somewhere there are just big blockbuster announcements that happen in the budget speech, but then on ground, other than historical and pilgrimage tourism, which we have seen the Kashi corridor and this thing being built, other than that, I don't see tourism being developed in way Modi 2.0 government wanted to do it. So the 2.0 government spoke a lot of things on tourism, but tourism still is not being done to that extent. And if I could take a minute more to put in some, I want to put this perspective from the Gen Zs particularly. Gen Zs, why? Because I am using this platform so that if someone from the government can hear me out. Motorsport tourism is a big thing which the government is not exploring.
Okay.
I mean, you have China, you have Japan, you have Singapore. You see these countries, you tell these are the ideal economies we want to go into. And motorsport tourism, you had the Buddha circuit. What mess did you make out of it?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see Coldplay coming in, Enrique coming in, concerts, big bang concerts, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people are ready to spend. You give them the experience, they are willing to spend, the Gen Z is willing to spend, given you are giving them the good experience. Motorsport tourism, F1, we had a great thing that needs to be done, but motorsport tourism is not explored. So I'm not asking for budget allocation. Why is the pain point? I'll explain, because there are many people who do not understand what was the pain point. The issue was motorsport, specifically F1, they categorized it as an entertainment and not a sport.
Correct.
So what that does is it attracts entertainment tax.
Yes.
And that is being charged by the states. So I just wanted a small thing from her side, ki we are clarifying. Motorsport is categorized as a sport and not an entertainment. That takes away the entertainment tax part.
Yes.
Other pain point was custom duty. They are not importing anything into the country for permanent use. They import it for testing. They'll do their games and they'll take it out. So you have already custom duties, laws in places for anything that comes into the country for testing or anything that goes for export. You just need to expand it, saying for motorsport tourism, any vehicle or any other part that comes into a country will be custom duty exempt. That will not cost the government, but it will build in a motorsport tourism thing wherein we already have the existing infrastructure. A lot of Gen Z audience watches F1,
yes.
So you can capitalize on this thing, and this economy I feel is a very underexplored thing, and if not today, we'll be missing the bus.
I think that's a great take, right? I mean, this whole both circuit that you mentioned, right? This entertainment tax issue has been dragging on for the longest time. right? And now I don't think the races have taken place for several years now, right? It's just a function of and it's not as if that the government was making a large amount of money from the tax, right? So just a simple reclassification of that activity will really restart it in a big way. So that's a very good point that you have. Saisha, what is your since you look at things very you have a very political science kind of lens at things. What do you think? What is your assessment of how the government has given the whole geopolitical environment today?
Yeah.
Did you think that the government did enough to, or did you see any mention of how what the government needs to do when it comes to relations with other countries, in terms of we're moving from what was a unipolar world to a sort of a multipolar world, right? Both including in the budget as well as outside the budget. What do you think is something that the government should definitely keep in mind when it comes to strengthening our position in the new world order? Were you able to see anything? Do you have any take on that?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for such an interesting question. I think the New World Order is going to be really fascinating if we're looking at the current decline of America, politically speaking, the trading that's being strengthened with BRICS. And India sits in a very interesting place in terms of the global stage, because when we look at the budget, the kind of investment that's being made in the data centers, or when it comes to AI technologies, that is the next race, right? Is investing in these technologies and also upskilling your workforce to deal with the political consequences that these technologies will bring.
Yes.
So I think India has to navigate this kind of uncertain geopolitical terrain when it comes to tariffs, trade, who are our partners, who can we rely on, and also what can we do in terms of human development factors with all of the investment being made on new colleges for design and stuff and content, but more so when it comes to AI. I think that's going to be the next big thing for India, because I think we sort of lagged. I would like to know your guys' take on this in terms of if we compare ourselves to America or China when it comes to AI. There was huge potential for India to be one of the pioneers, because our computer science industry
Absolutely.
is exactly, and I think we kind of missed that. So now the government is trying to, with this budget, I think, go back to that and hopefully try and catch up. That's my take. What do you guys think?
I was looking forward to the mention of where our sovereign LLM has reached, right? Because in the previous budget, the FM announced that we will shortlist startups to create our own large language model, right? And then a company called Sarvam was finalized, right? And they were working on it, and I think in the most recent updates, the IT minister had mentioned that we will be launching our sovereign model fairly soon, right? Because the necessary hardware and all of that has been provided to the company. But what's most interesting is that AI obviously is a multi-stack thing, right? You have compute, you have storage, right? Then you have the models, and then you build apps on top of it, right? So the strategy that India is taking is that we don't want to go very big on the bottommost layer, which is the most cache intensive. Right. For example, the kind of compute that OpenAI, the kind of power that OpenAI takes, right, and the kind of expenses that it has, is whether a country like India needs to go in that direction, right? So I think what the government's thinking is that we want to focus on the top layer in terms of what is the value that can be extracted, rather than really go very big on the creating the whole ecosystem for ourselves. I think that is the immediate term goal, and I saw a few mentions in the speech on AI, but what I would have liked to see is where we have reached on creating our own LLM, and what are the various applications that will then follow from launching our own sovereign model.
Yeah, I think something more constructive could have come in terms of AI.
But anybody? You are
answering to your previous question on the geopolitical thing, the Modi 3.0 government is doing a fabulous job. So like after 6 months ago, the President Trump announced a tariff on India, and then his ministers announced that we are negotiating and discussing with EU countries. We are negotiating and discussing with EU countries to impose more tariffs on India. But on the other hand, the Indian government has cracked a deal with the European countries recently. This was a major boost for the geopolitical situation in India, that the Trump administration wanted more tariffs on India, but we got a FTA deal with the EU, which is a very positive and a big achievement for Modi 3.0, and they are doing a commendable job in that point of view.
Pratik, what do you think of the budget? You haven't said anything in a while.
Well, the budget has been a really good thing for today. Like, nuclear sector was the one thing that I was looking for, and it has been a very great thing. So, nuclear sector is the main thing because this can show that, okay, India is coming towards the superpower nation. We are becoming one. We can at least compete with France, UK, USA, these countries which are already superpower. Second is our importing of parts that are required for airplane repairs. That is one of the things that I saw, that our government did one thing. But that one thing is that we are not exporting those parts as well, because even if we import, it will impact our economy. Rather than exporting, it will grow our economy. And multiple factors like tourism. In India, tourism is a really great thing, but the prices are very high for the common people. So our government focusing on that is also a very good thing. Rest on geopolitical thing, India is on a very good path. Like, we can see India is going on a top. We are having a lot of good deals with European Union. That's the mother of all deals. Secondly, on Trump, I don't trust his word that much. He is changing his word all the time. Modi wants to make me happy and all that. I don't trust his word. But how India has handled things like that, it's been very fabulous.
So let's just say, if you get a chance, let's say in the next budget maybe, you get a chance to be amongst the budget makers. You get a chance to sit with them. What's the one thing you would suggest that please add this?
Allocate more funds to sports, because that's one sector that we can actually bring India on top. You see China, you see USA, these countries, they don't just dominate, they destroy other countries when it comes to sports. That's badminton, there's swimming, there's everything. These countries have facilities to nurture youngsters. In India, we don't have that many. You see, when we go to villages, the smallest villages, you have talent there, but we don't have many infrastructures to support. And one more would be mental health. In India, mental health is not taken seriously.
What can be added for mental health?
More institutions and more policies regarding it. Like in education, we can bring that mental health is very important. Nobody in India takes that important, but we should take it, as it can ruin someone's life as well.
Yeah. So that's
do you want to summarize, I think Saisha wants to add something to it.
I would love to answer your question. Such a fantastic question. One of the main changes I would want to make in the budget, if I was the one allocating the funds, would be in reducing the disparity between rural communities and cities, because so much of India is rural. Or as you were stating about investment in sports, investment in young people, what about the young people who are in these villages, right? I suppose what would be an interesting way of implementing it would be if perhaps you had a policy package which addressed, like, let's say, the poorest of the poor. You already have a poverty line, but let's say like those who are in the most marginalized communities. You had a package which addressed education, water and sanitization, right? Health, those kind of basic factors, because when those communities lag behind, what does it matter if we're investing in big data centers and cutting taxes for private firms when so much of the country is dirt poor, right?
So of course, basically, Viksit Bharat, but inclusive Bharat as well, because everybody needs to be included. Love your take. I think Neil also wants to add something.
The two counterpoints to the discussions that have happened here. On the AI front, I believe missing the bus was the good thing that we have done.
Okay.
Whenever technologies have developed, it has come in waves. So it takes a peak, then goes down, and then the next wave comes in. The first wave is always the costliest one. As he explained, the underlying thing, developing the whole stack, is a costly process, capital intensive process, power intensive process. So instead, let us give these countries chance to spend more to so that the costs of developing these models come down. And then we can use our large IT force to multiply on it. It's the way we did it on pharma. Let them do the big shot manufacturing wherein you are spending more money on patented drugs. When those go generic, we will come in at lower cost. So on AI front, my small take would be, let us track the bus, move with it, but not board the bus the way we want it to go at the hotshot way. That thing would be on AI. And one more thing, if I was allocating funds, one thing that I did not find a mention of was on pollution. I mean, I have been wearing mask every time I travel in Mumbai. दिल्ली तो जाने से रहा मन बना लो तो भी दिल्ली दूर ही है because pollution is a big thing for me. So pollution things haven't been addressed. So as a person who would live for the next at least 50 years, I hope so, so I would want their pollution norms to be in place, better air quality, and these are the basic things I expect. I am ready to pay tax as a citizen. I want it to be my duty, but I also want basic things like clean water and clean air at least to be.
Some very incisive takes coming in here.
Right? Yeah, I have a counter to your counter. First of all, love the point of pollution. So true. That was not mentioned, and it's just a fabulous point. The counter that I have to your counter would be that it's valid in terms of how much investment it would take, or we weren't necessarily on the bus, so we can come later. My counter to that is, what's the point of getting on the bus when everybody has a sports car, right? Because necessarily what I think is going to be the future of AI technologies is actually quite concerning. I'm not talking about job displacement. I'm talking about political ideology. How does the electorate get their information, right? People mostly turn to digital now. That's why the government is investing on content creation. If everybody starts consuming more and more news online, and the race for AI technologies is with US and China, and you can spread misinformation in a synthetic way like never before. The average electorate cannot decipher what is a real image and what is fake, including me. I'm sure you guys have been seeing what's been happening in Minnesota. There have been like deep fakes circulating from against ICE agents, which even I would reshare, and then my friend would inform me, Sasha, that's fake. Me as a political science student. The reason that it is a danger is not just on the economic front, but on the political and ideological, because if I can sway the next general election, that's very dangerous when outside forces can come in through those methods if we're not as advanced. And I say this purely because my father also works in defense in England, and the system that the Ministry of Defense has is a bit old. But yeah, that's my
Interesting. I mean, lots of very incisive takes coming from our panel here, right? I'll just quickly do a recap for the benefit of our viewers. Right. So what we're saying is there are low-hanging fruits, for example, or rather areas where the government could really benefit from. Tourism is something that we spoke about. Sports is something that we talked about, right? And we haven't seen a lot of headlines coming there, right? So that's point number one. Pollution, obviously very important take, right? What Neil had. What is it that the government must do, right? But on your point about whether the government, authorities or governments generally tend to be behind the curve when it comes to really being able to. It's like it's a bit of a, by the time you catch up, the thieves have gone further ahead, right? And at the pace at which technology is advancing, I would imagine that the government really needs to do more when it comes to being able to, because when it comes to deep fake, when it comes to, I mean, even in India, you had that digital arrest thing that was absolutely crazy, right? I mean, you had it's a very simple mechanism, but so many people who were conned, right? And especially elderly who lost a lot of their savings. So could something have done there? Can enforcement catch up using technology, right? Because people who want to take advantage of the system, they are using technology, but can the enforcement and can government really play catch up? That is a very important question to ask. Absolutely. Let's go back very quickly to some of the other announcements. Let's also do a quick market check-in and let's see what we're doing, right? So the market is still seems it's still down about 1%, hasn't made a lot of gains, but Nifty IT is up 1.5%, right, 1.3%, because of some of the announcements on data centers and so on, right? So that is one sector that's holding up in the green.
I think pharma would also be holding up in green because of the announcement.
Yes. So all in all, the market has obviously a negative. Broking stocks are obviously taking it on the chin, right? So if Angel One and Grow, they're all down between 2 to 5%, right? So that's something that is very interesting. Let's also look at we have got what gets cheaper, what gets costlier list, right? So let's quickly run through what's happening there.
So while we do this, let's also do a quick short segment with you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question. You just raise your hand if you relate with it, all right? It's a game called Who Amongst You. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. Who amongst you would choose lower taxes over higher salary? You would choose lower taxes, but you were in favor of higher taxes. Sort of.
Yeah, you're giving me a choice, so why not?
Why not have?
Okay.
Why not have it?
Okay. What about you?
I'll go for lower taxes as well.
Okay. Who amongst you would rather get cheaper petrol than cheaper Netflix? Well, your hand came first. Would you like to explain yourself?
I travel every day 50 kilometers. Petrol is very expensive.
You sound
Also,
very...
it will reduce the logistic cost for the manufacturing companies. The transportation cost, the logistic cost will be reduced to a further extent. So like the petrol prices in the crude oil prices are significantly down from last 3 years in the foreign markets, but Indian markets are not seeing the petrol downside and they are still the same. So that's why all the transportation cost or the manufacturing cost has significantly take a plunge because of the high petrol prices. So definitely we need a reduction in petrol prices.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just addicted to Netflix.
You get a pirated version of Netflix, but you can't get pirated version of petrol.
That's correct. Okay. Who amongst you is planning to invest in commodities rather than stock market after the budget? Is your trust broken in the stock market today after the budget?
Yeah, but mine is more like what my country needs. Like now in semiconductors, you need copper, so I'll obviously go for copper and everything. And then silver is also going to be used in semiconductors and in electronics, so I'll be going for commodities still.
Okay. Anybody else?
We will choose equities. So it's fairly valued. Currently the Indian markets are very fairly valued or say undervalued. So there is a high growth potential for next 12 to 18 months. So therefore stick to equities. They will recover and they will shine again.
All right. Maybe now we can get back to what's got cheaper and what's got costly after budget.
Tourism packages, overseas tourism packages, the TCS has been cut from anywhere from 5 to 20% to 2%, right? So that will typically have an impact on the main headline rate. Foreign education, lower TDS under the LRS scheme, right? That's what the FM announced. So these are two things that we can see that will get cheaper, right? So a lot of the announcements now typically come in on the customs duty front, because GST is no longer part of the budget, right? Because it's a state subject also now. So therefore, whatever has been reduced on the customs duty front, shoe exports, right? Where there is a duty-free imports that have been allowed. So that seems shoe upper exports. That seems that something that will get typically cheaper.
So maybe the sneakers will be more cheaper now.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. What gets costlier is stock options and futures trading, right? Because the government has increased the FTT there, right? But I think while this is getting a lot of flack, The one thing that to keep in mind is that I think this is not only a revenue component. See, the actual revenue gain is going to be a pittance for the government, right? A few thousand crore. But one way to look at it is this could also be the government discouraging people from dabbling in futures and options, because especially retail investors have lost a lot of money over the past 4 or 5 years by dabbling in futures and options. So I think there is also a disincentivization at play here, right? But obviously the market is not happy, and then the brokers will lose out on revenue. So this is what we have by way of cheaper and costlier. What are the other things that, let's see if we've got the budget fine print.
Okay, so before that, if you guys have to describe this year's budget in one word, and it has to be quick, how would you describe it in one word?
Boom.
That's cute. What about you, Prativ? In one word.
Medium.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my take will be manufacturing. The focus is on manufacturing, so that's why. One word is manufacturing.
My thing would be creative.
You think the budget was creative?
Yeah, it was creative.
Okay. All right.
I would use the word comprehensive, right? Or pragmatic.
Pragmatic would be better.
Yeah, because what the FM seems to be doing here is do a balancing act, right? So for instance, if you see the fiscal deficit, while there has been a reduction, it's not as much a reduction as perhaps what some economists were expecting. So the FM is increasing spends, but not by too much, right? She is also consolidating, again by not by too much. So I think there is a very clear balancing act that is being pulled off here. Capex has gone up, right, by about 10% again, not too significantly. So I think pragmatic is the most appropriate word that I think would describe the budget according to me.
I have one question. Last year,
you describe the budget as in one word?
well, if I have to choose a word, that's tricky. I'll answer it later. Okay, I have a question for you. So when the last year's budget was announced, there were more seats in IITs, they were announced, and a lot of other things. I wanted to understand from you guys, you are young, Gen Zs, youth, are people still, is the coming generation still interested in IITs, or AIMS, or they are more into different sorts of career building? What do you think?
There's a lot of competitions.
There's
a lot. People are still like that engineering is top, medical is top. They don't see that there are new other career options, but they are like, go for engineering, then you can do whatever you want. That is still going on. But competition is next level. It's like last year I had given my JEE papers. I had a lot in lakhs of people coming around from all over India, and they're giving their papers.
Okay, so
I mean, it's difficult to point out because fairly a 27, 28-year-old young nation, if we are debating if this is more and this is less, so I don't think so that is proper. There is ample scope for everything. The young generation is booming in. There will be more IITians coming up, there will be more AIMS people coming up, there will be people from more creative fields, from political sciences, from arts, fine arts and commerce, finance. Everyone has got ample space to set in their feet on the ground. So I feel each and everything, every part of the value chain, be it in production, be it in services, or be it in creative fields, everything has got a good amount of scope. So I think fairly all of these will get an equal importance in the budget, as we have seen they have put in. So I think for a young country, everything matters.
My perspective isn't specific to India because I stay in London, so I guess it's more of like an NRI perspective. But just in general, what I've observed in terms of Gen Zs and the future of their career, yes, I think it's completely still very prestigious to pursue careers which are traditionally seen as more stable, like engineering, becoming a doctor or a lawyer. It's very desi, है ना? अरे मेरा बेटा doctor है. But I think the biggest trouble and like something that's really interesting is now those careers that once promised stability are now becoming unstable. Many of my friends who studied computer science are now telling me that if I have a private firm, right, and let's say you guys are all amazing computer scientists, but I can replace you with an AI tool that will do your job. Why wouldn't I do it if it will maximize my profit, right? Perfect. If you're a business, you operate like one. So I think that's one of the challenges, and especially for people like me who like journalism, but I'm also creative, I like poetry, music. You can put in one prompt and a whole song can come out. Now, is that necessarily artistry? No, but it is efficiency. So that's going to be very difficult to navigate. How are Gen Zs going to deal with the changing landscape of the labor force? How do we deal with that displacement? And I think one of the ways that young people are dealing with it is by setting up their own businesses and starting their own initiatives.
I think Neil has to
I have a good take on this.
Yeah, please.
Very fortunately, I am very happy to be born in India during this time, where in the UK, they have to debate whether elementary math is required in schools or not. People are not choosing math and science there. They are choosing creative fields. Fine, fantastic, that's nice. But elementary math and science that builds the countries, that gets you R&D, that gets you IP, if people of your country are not pursuing it, then that's a big burden on your country. You might be great in creative fields, but you do not own the IP, you do not own the technology, you do not have R&D, and you do not have people from the STEM background coming in. So that would be a liability for the country is what I feel. And fortunately, India has got a large pool of these people coming in, and when the world is facing shortage of this talent, India has got ample talent. So that way I really feel, let Europe explore creative fields, we will join them, but let us keep the dominance of technology fields within our country.
Do you think India is dominating in terms of technology?
That's my question.
So I have another take on this. So you will need more Indian laborers or more Indian employees to create those AI platforms or say LLMs. So Indian IT workforce is shifting from say the old industries to the AI thing, and they are generating the streams of the AI models or say the LLMs. So that's a shift. The industry changes itself. There will be new leaders, and the Indian workforce will continue to support the AI industry also.
I think there's ample talent, but my question isn't whether we'll offshore. The West, of course, will offshore to India, exactly as you said. Wherever comparative advantage is when you have more of a specific product than a country. India's comparative advantage is that you have people who are skilled in maths and science, right? That's not a doubt that countries are going to offshore their labor in terms of that. My question is, when you have ample talent, do you actually, and I mean globally, not just in India, do we have ample opportunity? Because tell me why graduates from the London School of Economics, such as myself, luckily I'm here right now sitting with you guys, but most of my colleagues and peers, London School of Economics is one of the best universities when it comes to political science and econ. We know that. It ranked actually first in 2025 after Oxbridge. People are struggling to find jobs. And my point is they're struggling to find jobs, whether it's in creative industry, whether it's in politics, whether it's in tech. And so we have ample talent, but do we have ample opportunity? That's my question to you guys. What do you think? Everybody.
So my take, definitely in India we have a jobs. We have plenty of opportunities. So like as we said, as the PM also said, this decade is for human resources, and India is on the pioneer of providing labor force or say the human resources to the world. So talented skilled laborers or say talented professionals, white collar professionals, they all are being migrating to different countries legally to provide the support and the opportunity for other foreign companies also to generate and to build upon them. So definitely India is providing huge opportunities within India also and outside India also through legal migration.
So I'll come in on that. Before that, let me just come in on a quick update. What we're trying to do, what we'll do is I'll just quickly check in if some of the guests who are there in the studio can come in, right? If they do, we'll have a quick interaction with them as well. But if they are going to take time, we will continue with this discussion, and then at some point over the next 15-20 minutes or half an hour, perhaps we can take a break and then, or we can end the session and then decide to do a separate one, right? I'll just check in and I will provide an update on if someone can come in. But I want to come in on the point that you made, Saisha, on jobs and skills and so on, right? See, when you go through the budget speech, it tries to address 3 or 4 things. One is skilling, right? The skill, the initiative that the government has taken on skilling. There was Skill India that was launched a few years ago. Question is whether it has achieved the aims that the objective that it had, right? I would say that there's a lot that needs to be done there, and there's a lot that needs to be done there now, especially in the context of AI, right? Because when it comes to there's often, and everybody has their own view on this, right? But some people believe that AI will actually create a lot of jobs, because every technology, there's always been a fear that it will take away jobs, right? But in most cases, it tends to create a lot more jobs, right? That has happened historically, right? There was this an interesting post that I once saw on LinkedIn. It had headlines from 1890s. Right, 1890s was the time when there was a Luddite movement that took place, right, where they said that we are against machinery in factories, right, and from 1890s there was a newspaper headline that said the machines are going to take away our jobs, and they produced a headline from every decade since, from 1890s, and job creation always went up, right. So the question is, will technology destroy jobs this time? Is it different this time, right? I would love to know your takes on this as well, right? But I want to bring in my take on this, and I borrowed this from Yuval Noah Harari, who is one of the greatest sort of historians of our times, right? Now he says that when humans have two ways in which they can make themselves useful. One is by way of their labor, their hands, and the physical effort, right? Physical labor. And the other is cognitive, where you use the brains. So once machines came into the factory, right, a large part of the economy, a large part of the labor force moved to cognitive work. So the service economy moved, right? But if AI comes into the cognitive space, right, when it starts doing the writing and everything else practically, where do you go as humans? Because you've run out of both options, right? You had the physical labor, and now it's going to take away your cognitive abilities as well. So according to Harari, there is no third skill that you have, right? So, and therefore he sort of tends to paint a slightly grim picture. But again, the question here in the context of this budget discussion, are we doing enough to counter that? Are we even cognizant of what potentially the challenges could be? That's one question that I think I would like to just keep open.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I actually read what you're talking about in terms of that post. I think, like any technology, there will be discrepancies. That's an obvious statement, such as with the factory. For example, in England, what we saw happen was massive deindustrialization when cheap labor became a comparative advantage that the global south has, right? Garment factories being opened in Bangladesh, and lots of also decades of bad domestic policy thanks to Margaret Thatcher and the Tory party, but that's besides the point. So there was a loss of jobs, but it's in which specific way? Now, when AI comes in, this becomes really interesting because it is about humans' cognitive ability, and if people go to university to think, and students themselves don't actually read, and I mean this, most of my peers wouldn't do the readings, they would just get a summary. Of course, okay, I'll get a summary. I don't need to actually understand in depth the historical analysis of 60 pages, but what you lose out in is that knowledge. And when you lose out on that knowledge and you read the headlines, I immediately can connect your point back to something that happened in the 80s in England. I only know that because I bothered to do my reading, right? But in terms of the cognizance, what happens is when it can do it at that speed, the thing that makes us human is actually our ability to think. So I think what we need to learn is exactly what you just demonstrated, is asking better questions. The people who will have a job are not necessarily going to be the smartest people in the room, but they're going to be the people who know what value they provide. That's what I think it will go. If you know that I'm really good at connecting to people, I can make people feel seen and heard. Human skills are going to be, we already live in a super connected world, and yet we have so many mental health issues. Why do young people feel so depressed and sad? Why are people working corporate jobs who have a great paycheck still sad, right? It's because the decline of third spaces, your friends are in different cities. Globalization is amazing, it opens markets, it means you have new cultures and things, but it also means that you kind of feel more alone. So I think people who know how to leverage those human skills will have a job, and people who know what their distinctive value is. That's my answer. What do you guys think?
I would like to connect two things, the historical thing you brought in and the budget announcement. Similarly, I am a strong believer of Darwinism, survival of the fittest. And I seriously believe those who are fit will survive, and the less fit would perish some of the other way.
Okay.
So I seriously believe survival of the fittest is the biggest thing. So what I feel on the job perspective, a tech-enabled skilled person will replace person who is not a tech-enabled and skilled person. So there will be job losses, but of those who are not tech ready or not AI ready,
as
or
Sam
skilled
Altman
ready.
says, AI is not going to replace humans. Humans using AI are going to replace humans, right?
That is what I come in. And now how do I relate it to the budget? If at all, if you remember, last time there was an announcement for NAT scheme that will give internships to young students in the industry, wherein government will incentivize them, and accordingly CSR funds can also be used for this thing. This year, surprisingly, no announcement. They just put it under the bus. I mean, that is what I was talking of when we started the show. Policy flip-flops, the certainty. Like, you are announcing something, stick to it. 2 years, 3 years down the line, we will appreciate the intent more than the outcome. I don't know what is going to come out tomorrow. But at least the intent to show that we were tried and it did not happen. That is secondary. But the intent last year came in for the NAT scheme. We will allocate funds this. But on ground, I am seriously telling you, and why am I telling this is, yesterday I spoke to many of my friends, all the Gen Zs that are trying to see here. And most of them are from the finance background, core CAs, well-groomed professionals. Everyone has seen the data. Internships have gone down. Lot of enrollments that were put in, many did not get internships.
Yes.
Funds were released, but people did not get it. So the NATS scheme you bought in, that was big picture thing, that we will provide internships, we will do skill development. Where is the implementation? Where did you focus on that in the budget speech? Last time, if you gave it a good amount of time in your speech, this time at least a small mention that this was last time, this was intended, we like to revise it, or we like to increase it, something on it. Like, you want people to develop skills, you show intent, and next time you put it under the bus.
So a good idea would be to actually for the government to roll out a report card. Okay, hey, this is what we did last year, this is what we announced last year, and this is where we've reached. Right, this is what we actually did.
On the report card, and there needs to be continuity also. This time I was hoping something comes up for the skills. I like Solo. The CSR fund you are using, give the corporations, you give them an impulse, you give them something that we will give you tax expenditure break on CSR funds. You do it for upskilling with academia. Now what happens is, two sides are complaining. Everyone is complaining, no one is looking for the solution. The solution was you telling academia is not giving us good outcomes. You pitch in, we will try, work with the academia, get in the skills, let the government give us funds, let the government give us incentives, financial incentives, not through direct subsidies or those things. Tax breaks can be there. So these are small things which I was expecting on the skill front, wherein two complaining parties come together for a collaborative approach. That I am very disappointed. That thing should have been a core focus, is what I feel.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. We'll have to obviously see the way the speech is structured is it's also a message on whatever is the most important thing of the day, and obviously the skills and the job market is one of the most important things. So, but there's the incentive for, because a lot of this is also about messaging. So there's the incentive for the finance minister is to talk about new things that we will do rather than provide an update on the old ones, and this is just the way audiences typically like, right? So they're also just giving people what they would like to see. But that's a good point. We would, as I said, if there is a way where, I mean, my personal take is this whole budget exercise, while there are three parts to it. One is the whole presentation. I think that whole presentation can be different, right? We are in the digital age. The budget website, for example, has been like this since I've been tracking budgets, like for I think 10-15 years. Marginal improvements, right? But wahi documents, wahi when the finance bill comes out, wahi 500 page ka document आपको पढ़ना है, right? थोड़ा बहुत changes हुआ है, ऐसा नहीं है, right? You have a snackable summary that you can quickly go through. But are there ways where the storytelling can improve? Yeah. Are there ways where we can provide a nice report card, right? As you said, क्योंकि ये हमने last year announce किया था. This is where it has reached. I was looking at some of the schemes that they announced last year. One of the missions, I forget the name, and when I googled it, the website of that initiative was down. Right now, that doesn't send a great message. Absolutely. Right? So I think that is something where the presentation can improve. That's point number one. And the second point is when it comes to execution. Right? See, at any point, the government will always be limited by the bandwidth that it has, wherein it won't be able to give equal focus on everything, right? तो आपका अगर defense focus है, infra for example has been the focus for several years now, right? So there you will really go all in and do your best, right? But some other areas the focus may not be that much. So the question that I would ask is, or what I would have liked to see is how are we leveraging technology to improve our execution, right? When it comes to e-governance, right? Is that something that we have taken up in a big way? There have been mentions about e-governance and for example there are multiple dashboards that are now created within the government to track implementation. But is there something that has been done in mission mode, right? In order to improve governance systems across. I would imagine that's an area that could use some improvement.
So another take on this is there is no mention of railways or say the airports this year also.
No, there was a for example high speed rail. 7 routes they've said that we will be announcing. 7 new routes will come in.
But not as per the expectations on the market in front point of view.
Yeah.
So market was expecting huge capex for the railway infrastructure upgradement, or say the budget the bullet train plans for other cities also. But there was no mention of the bullet train also.
The bullet train is the HSR. The semi-high speed rail are the ones that we are typically rolling out. See, there are 3 categories here. Right? One is the high speed rail, which is 300-350 kilometers per hour, which is the most feasible. Then there is semi-high speed, right? And then there is the maglev vagera. So maglev is a very expensive technology which India is not going to adopt, and it should not, right? But HSR, which is high speed rail, where they have announced, and the only question is how quickly you can ramp up, because China is adding some 45,000. China network is at some 50,000 kilometers, right? Our Mumbai-Ahmedabad rail will be the first at I think 700 kilometers, right? So how quickly can you add
other cities also?
Other cities there? That would be the question.
Okay.
One thing in the budget I would like to have a change is that we have multiple schemes for rural employment, and there's Manrega and all that has like 100 days without work pay. Rather than having such schemes, why can't we have a scheme where like for 100 days we'll teach some youngsters the skills that are required for our generation, and then get them into those 100 days with work and all, so that when they are also like motivated by themselves, okay, I've learned this, I can use it in the real life market as well. So in 100 days, rather than just sitting at home and not working, I'll at least learn a skill. Then once those 100 days period is over, I'll at least go into the market and at least I can show, yeah, I've done this. Then I can go on with my life and I can earn a lot, and then I can continue on.
Well, I think that's a great input, but the government has already done these sorts of things, setting up skilling centers for for upskilling people. That has been done, but then again this question that how far are we reaching out in terms of execution, then this comes. But yeah, that's a great point. I mean, government should focus on upskilling youth, because that will ultimately give them more leverage in terms of employment.
Yeah.
Use of technology. Use of technology came up with how can we leverage that. So that one thing that would be we are not upping our PR game.
Yeah.
We are not upping our PR game. Like India is still seen as a poor country. I don't think so. We are a poor country.
Okay.
We are a growing country. That narrative shift that needs to come in. I guess Saisha also would be very this thing. You see a lot of racism also happens against Indians.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
You get this.
I think you are clicking our nerves at times.
Not small example would be the passport issuance process. Smooth. If you could do it, why not on the other thing? You see our government websites. These look like 1990s. You click it, the buffering also is the old loading style.
Yeah.
You see the national websites of Russia, of the US. When you open their websites, you have the Trump admin coming in, the graphics moving out. That is cosmetic changes that need to come in. The PR game that needs to be up, and technology. It is the best use you can do of technology is to up your PR game. So use the technology to streamline these processes so that others tell you the way they tell. India's UPI movement will be replicated around the world. I want to see India's use of technology in the PR game to be replicated around the world. Can this be done?
I think I have 2 points. First of all, I love the point about like the globe. Why do we even call it the global south? Like, it's not just one you're lumping in all these countries into one label. Bangladesh and India are very different. India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. Okay, fine, maybe we're one country, but we're very different.
Yeah.
I hate this label to like just pool all of, South Asia, you know? And in terms of like the global narrative on how Indians are viewed, I think there's a huge ignorance when it comes from the global north, because even when tourists come to India, do you notice the kind of narratives they like to perpetuate? They like to showcase poverty. They like to showcase inequality. I don't see them ever taking a picture of Ambani's house and being like, oh, look. But why? Like, I'm saying this as a joke, but it's a serious question. Why are people not showing the immense potential and value and culture and skills that India has, instead of just seeing it as like a developing nation? I love that you said it's a growing nation, because it is. If we want to talk about wealth or culture, maybe we should teach people about colonial legacies and what happened to India. But the fact that that's not even a part of the syllabus is concerning in itself. Second thing I wanted to talk about was about skilling people in the villages. I completely agree. I think that's very important. But also, I have a question. Are there even jobs in those areas? Like, I understand I understand the idea whenever it comes to like the government giving what is perceived as a handout, right? So we don't like that, because we think as taxpayers, why should my money, or why should people just get money for just sitting around? But I guess my question is that maybe in those areas, is there actually something more to do? And I think maybe if they combined that, as you said, with the skill centers and job creation, is there a way that you can make these areas attractive for tourists or to bring more money in?
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good point, Saisha, and I knew that the moment Neil brought it up, in you will.
I could see that excitement in her answer the question.
But again, let's quickly check in on the markets, and then perhaps we'll have a few final takes from each of you all, and then we can perhaps either wrap it at the moment, and then we'll see if we can do it in a separate way with some of the guests that are coming on TV, right? So markets still not looking very good, but typically these are all knee-jerk reactions, right? As Warren Buffett says, the market is a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long term, right? So 15 days out, nobody is going to remember how the markets reacted today, right? And typically when on the days that the market falls very sharply, it's generally a buying opportunity, right? Not that I'm suggesting that we should buy now, but on the whole, I think I can see a bunch of reactions from various experts on our channel and on Twitter as well, right? The capex, especially defense, right? Since we brought that up, some of the fine print looks very encouraging. 22% increase on the capex side, and overall increase is 10%, and good amount of increase on manufacturing of planes and a lot of those technologies. PLI scheme sharp increase. So that's definitely something that was expected, and I think has also come in. What else?
I think in terms of markets over the last few years as well, when the budget was presented, markets do react to budget, of course, but then at times it's just a short-term reaction to what has been announced in budget. Markets crash, then it will rally after a while. So for today, as of now, we heard what you had to say about budget. We heard your voices. I think our live viewers also joined and they also heard. Do let us know, for our live viewers, do let us know what you also think about this year's budget. And thank you so much, all of you, for joining us here. It was such a pleasure to listen to your opinions, to listen
very
to what...
takes
very unfiltered.
And that's
loved
the
the sort
purpose of doing this.
Loved your counters as well. Hopefully next year's budget will also look like this. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Nazim, do you have to say anything?
Thank you all. Thank you for coming in. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. I definitely had a good time here, and the idea was that, and I hope everybody who joined in also had a great experience in not just listening to what the experts are saying, but also what the aspirations are and how the youth is looking at this, right? So thanks for coming in at fairly short notice. And if you have anybody wants to have a quick final take on it, please. I think.
So thank you for providing this platform and raising the youth's voice via your media platform. So definitely it was a great interaction, and looking forward for the next year also for the discussion. So
yes,
thank you once again.
We'll hopefully do this again, and we'll make it a regular feature of part of our programming.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I was going to say,
please.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think it's rare that young people are put at the center of such important discussions when it comes to the future of India's economy and geopolitical space, and also just for your very insightful and inquisitive questions. I really enjoyed it, and all of your takes were super fun and super thoughtful, and I had a blast. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Budget 2026, the growth agenda.